Lin-Manuel Miranda has been described as quick, bright, gifted, Lin-Manuel Miranda, award-winning actor, rapper, writer, and composer. Teresa Mock, non-stop. Lin-Manuel Miranda has been described as quick, bright, gifted, charming, inventive, magnetic, and much more. His dynamic personality is only part of what makes him so special. Miranda has achieved great fame in a short time. His skills as a poet, performer, rapper, composer, and writer have earned him worldwide recognition. Miranda's parents are of Puerto Rican descent, and his multicultural upbringing has influenced his work. Miranda is best known for his Broadway musicals In the Heights and Hamilton, both of which he created and starred in. He's also the creator and a member of Freestyle Love Supreme. Miranda's work has earned him a number of awards, including the Pulitzer Prize for Drama in 2016. This man is working and creating non-stop. Miranda has been praised for his immense creativity. The Miranda family. Miranda was born on January 16, 1980, in New York City. His mother, Luz, is a psychologist, and his father, Luis, is a political consultant. His older sister is also named Luz. Miranda grew up in Inwood, a largely Hispanic neighborhood in northern Manhattan. Throughout his childhood, Miranda's parents instilled a love of music in their children. Even though the family couldn't afford to go to Broadway shows often, they listened to their favorite musicals' soundtracks. His father particularly liked the unsinkable Molly Brown. Miranda also listened to hip-hop on his bus ride to school. He attended Hunter College Elementary School, a school for gifted children, where he sang in the choir. He also took piano lessons. During his 2016 acceptance speech for the Edward M. Kennedy Prize for Drama, inspired by American history, Miranda said, "I grew up in an immigrant neighborhood. We just knew the rule was you're going to have to work twice as hard." A talented youth. Miranda started to perform in musicals when he was in 6th grade. In high school, he performed in The Pirates of Penzance and Godspell, helped direct A Chorus Line, and directed West Side Story. He enjoyed rock musicals and was particularly influenced by Rent. During his high school years, Miranda wrote 2 original musicals, Nightmare in D Major and 7 Minutes in Heaven. Miranda went to Wesleyan University to study film and theater. However, he later stopped studying film to focus on theater. While at Wesleyan, he performed the role of Jesus in Jesus Christ Superstar and directed a version of his play 7 Minutes in Heaven. He also began writing a new musical, which he titled In the Heights. University of Pennsylvania, May 16, 2016. Wesleyan University created the Hamilton Prize for Creativity, which is a 4-year, full-tuition scholarship in honor of Miranda. He graduated from the university in 2002 and received an honorary doctorate in 2015. In 2016, Miranda received an honorary doctorate from the University of Pennsylvania. To teach or to write? After Miranda graduated from Wesleyan, he became a high school English teacher. He worked as a substitute and was offered several full-time teaching jobs. Miranda decided to put his energy into writing instead. He knew he had to follow his dream. He wasn't throwing away his shot, Miranda said his father told him. "It makes no sense to leave your job to be a writer, but I have to tell you to do it. You have to pursue that if you want." In the Heights. Miranda started writing In the Heights when he was a sophomore in college. Rent showed Miranda that he could write a musical about current events and personal experiences. He didn't finish writing the musical until 8 years later. In the Heights is a story about people living in Washington Heights, a Latino neighborhood in Manhattan. The music, which Miranda composed and wrote lyrics for, has Latin and hip-hop influences. In the Heights premiered, or was performed for the public for the first time, on Broadway in March 2008. The show ran for 2 years and won 4 Tony Awards, including those for Best Musical and Best Original Score. In 2009, In the Heights was nominated for the Pulitzer Prize for Drama and won the Grammy Award for Best Musical Show Album. The story. In the Heights takes place over 3 days. The main characters are Usnavi, Vanessa, Nina, and Benny. Usnavi, played by Miranda, owns a bodega. Usnavi's dream is to one day return to his home country, the Dominican Republic. In 2008, Miranda was nominated for the Tony Award for Best Performance by a Leading Actor in a Musical for his role as Usnavi. In the Heights is inspired by Miranda's experiences growing up. He expressed the feeling of having a foot in 2 cultures as a Latino American. In the Heights is a 2.5-hour, 2-act musical about chasing your dreams. After the Heights. After In the Heights' great success, Miranda continued to work hard. He did Spanish translations for the 2009 revival of West Side Story. He co-composed and co-wrote lyrics for Bring It On, the musical, in 2012. Miranda also guest-starred on TV shows, including How I Met Your Mother, Modern Family, and The Sopranos. While writing and performing, Miranda also helped create a comedy and improvisation group called Freestyle Love Supreme. Improvisation is a style of performance in which the actors create short scenes or pieces of music on the spot with no preparation. Freestyle Love Supreme is made up of 5 performers, including Miranda. They perform hip-hop and improvised music and scenes at festivals and colleges across the country. On March 6, 2014, Freestyle Love Supreme took part in a live taping of their show. Pictured here from right are Miranda, Arthur Lewis, Chris Jackson, Anthony Venezial, and Utkarsh Ambudkar. Personal life. Miranda met Vanessa Nadal, the woman who would later become his wife, while he was in high school. He was a senior at Hunter College High School when Nadal was a sophomore. Although they weren't friends in school, Miranda was always interested in Nadal, who grew up in Washington Heights. While Miranda was at Wesleyan University, Nadal attended Massachusetts Institute of Technology. The two didn't come into contact again until 2005, when Miranda came across her profile when he was catching up with graduates from Hunter College High School on Facebook. He learned that Nadal was a scientist working at Johnson & Johnson. He invited her to see his upcoming Freestyle Love Supreme show. She came to the show and the two started dating soon after. They were married on September 5, 2010. At their wedding, Miranda surprised Nadal by performing the song To Life from Fiddler on the Roof. Life as a father. On November 10, 2014, Nadal and Miranda welcomed their son Sebastian into the world. During the first year of Sebastian's life, Miranda was often away performing Hamilton. Miranda credits his wife with keeping their family running smoothly. He stated, "My wife's the reason anything gets done." By the time he was just 2 years old, Sebastian was already bilingual, speaking Spanish and English. Miranda has said that Sebastian is working on learning a 3rd language. Miranda's mother-in-law is Austrian and has taught Sebastian some German, creating Hamilton. In 2008, Miranda picked up a biography, or Written History of a Person's Life of Alexander Hamilton by Ron Chernow. As he read, he was inspired by Chernow's explanation of Hamilton's personality and life story. He felt that the story of the nation's first Secretary of the Treasury needed to be told. Miranda spent the next few years composing and writing a musical concept album based on Chernow's biography of Hamilton. He turned to hip-hop to bring the story to life, describing it as the language of youth and energy and of rebellion, which made it a perfect fit for a story about the American Revolution. It took Miranda a year to write the first song and another year to finish the second. The Hamilton mixtape would eventually become the Broadway musical Hamilton. Chernow said that Miranda's musical is a biographer's wish fulfillment fantasy. In 2009, Miranda was invited to perform at the White House's Evening of Poetry and Spoken Word. Miranda chose to perform a song from the Hamilton mixtape, which hadn't been released yet. On January 11, 2012, Miranda gave the audience at the American Songbook Series at Lincoln Center in New York City a sneak preview of 12 songs from the Hamilton mixtape. When casting Hamilton when it became a musical, Miranda chose actors based on their abilities, regardless of whether they looked like the historical figures they played. Miranda said, "I think our goal is to present them as human, and not just the 5 facts you know about them from our history books." Hamilton premiered at the Public Theater in New York City in 2015. The MacArthur Foundation Award. On September 28, 2015, Miranda received the MacArthur Foundation Award and Genius Grant. A grant is an award of financial support that's given to an individual or organization. The John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation is an organization that focuses on supporting creative projects and talented artists. The MacArthur Foundation awarded Miranda a grant of $625,000 to support his continuing creative projects. Hamilton received rave reviews from theatergoers. New York Times writer Ben Brantley wrote that Hamilton is proof that the American musical is not only surviving, but also evolving in ways that should allow it to thrive. Hamilton's success. Hamilton immediately became a huge hit. The 2015 off-Broadway production of Hamilton at the Public Theater sold out 119 shows. Many celebrities and politicians saw the show, including Madonna, Dick Cheney, and Jake Gyllenhaal. When Hamilton moved to Broadway, over 200,000 tickets were sold in advance, bringing total advance ticket sales to almost $30 million. In 2016, Hamilton was nominated for 16 Tony Awards, of which it took home 11. Miranda himself was awarded a Tony for Best Score, Best Book of a Musical, and Best Musical. Hamilton also won awards for Best Leading Actor, Best Featured Actor, Best Featured Actress, Best Choreography, Best Costume Design, and more. Hamilton also won the 2016 Pulitzer Prize for Drama and a Grammy Award for Best Musical Theater Album. On March 14, 2016, the Broadway cast of Hamilton performed songs from the musical for President Barack Obama and others at the White House. Writing music for Moana. In 2014, Miranda signed on with Disney to create songs for the computer-animated film Moana. He worked with Apataya Tavita Foe and Mark Mancina. Foe was born in Samoa, which is part of Polynesia, where Moana takes place. His vocal group, Te Vaka, helped create the sounds of Moana. Mancia had helped write music for Disney's Tarzan and Brother Bear. The 3 men worked together to create the music for Moana. Miranda told Variety, "We did a lot of jam sessions around drums. It would start with a rhythmic bass line from Apataya, then I would go and write music and lyrics, and then he'd come in with choral stuff, and then Mark would make it feel all of a piece. At Mona's world premiere on November 14, 2016, Miranda and Dwayne Johnson performed a live version of You're Welcome from the movie. How Far I'll Go. In 2017, Miranda was nominated for the Academy Award, or Oscar, for Music, Original Song, for his work on How Far I'll Go from Mona. He performed the song at the Oscars with actress Alili Cravaho, who voiced Mona in the film. Mona was also nominated for the Oscar for Best Animated Feature. Mona didn't win the Oscar in either category. The song City of Stars from the movie La La Land won the Oscar for Music, Original Song. The Hamilton Mixtape. The Hamilton Mixtape, which was released in December 2016, is a collection of covers, re-imagings, and spin-offs of songs from the musical Hamilton. Miranda's first songs from the original Hamilton Mixtape, which was written before the musical was released, are included on the album. While working on the album, Miranda said, "I'm really excited to sort of see how well these songs play in the pop, hip-hop music sphere. They actually work really well as radio tunes." The new mixtape features songs by pop stars including Sia and Kelly Clarkson. Contributions from hip-hop musicians such as Nas, Chance the Rapper, and Common, and performances by R&B musicians John Legend and Alicia Keys are also featured. A review by Rolling Stone said, "Hamilton is full of show tunes that feel as vital as anything in contemporary pop." On October 17, 2016, at the Stronger Together Broadway benefit for presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, Miranda remixed or changed the lyrics to the Hamilton song, "The World Was Wide Enough." The new lyrics for the rap focused on Clinton and the importance of voting. Immigrants, we get the job done. In 2017, the Hispanic Federation, a nonprofit Latino organization, and 12 other nonprofit organizations from across the United States came together to launch the Immigrants, We Get the Job Done Coalition. The coalition takes its name from lyrics from the song Yorktown from Hamilton. The coalition's goal is to protect and improve the rights of immigrants in the United States. Miranda has said that working for immigrant rights is a cause close to his heart. In honor of Immigrant Heritage Month, Miranda started a campaign called the /Ham for All Challenge to raise money for the Immigrants We Get the Job Done coalition. He asked fans to donate to the coalition and post videos of themselves online performing songs from Hamilton. Those who participated were entered in a contest to win a chance to see Hamilton in Los Angeles. Miranda helped create a video based on the song Immigrants We Get the Job Done from the Hamilton Mixtape to raise awareness of the issues many immigrants face in the United States. Actress Karen Olivo donated to the Immigrants We Get the Job Done coalition. She had roles in the Heights and Hamilton. What comes next? Lin-Manuel Miranda is a whirlwind of energy. He's created groundbreaking works of art and achieved remarkable success, all before the age of 40. His talent as an actor, rapper, writer, and composer has earned him multiple awards and respect as a creative genius. What will the future hold for this amazing artist? In 2017, Miranda began working on a movie musical called Mary Poppins Returns. He was cast as Jack alongside Emily Blunt as Mary Poppins. He's also written several songs for a movie musical called Vivo, which will be released in 2020. Additionally, Miranda has started working on a live-action version of Disney's The Little Mermaid, as well as a movie version of his Broadway musical In the Heights. It seems that there's no end in sight for Lin-Manuel Miranda. On July 11, 2016, Miranda, pictured below, performed Love Make the World Go Round with Jennifer Lopez on NBC's Today Show to benefit survivors of the Orlando Pulse nightclub shooting.
Leonardo da Vinci, Genius of the Italian Renaissance, by Justine Cialvacco. Chapter 1. Who was Leonardo da Vinci? Many people can do one thing well. Some people can do many things well. Leonardo da Vinci was a person who was good at many things. He was a talented artist who created paintings, drawings, and sculptures. He was also a great mind in the field of science. Leonardo lived in Italy in the 1400s, during a period of time called the Renaissance. The word Renaissance means rebirth in French. It was called this because there was a rebirth of interest in ancient Greece and Rome. The Europeans of the Renaissance took the ideas of the ancient people and built on these ideas to develop their own. The work of artists became more true to life. They designed beautiful buildings. They made colorful paintings. They carved sculptures of important people. Artists, scientists, and inventors were encouraged in their work. It was a time when new ideas had a chance to grow. The Renaissance was also a time when people began to invent machines that changed the way people lived and worked. For example, the printing press was a new machine that made it easier to print books. Leonardo stood out as one of Italy's greatest artists of the Renaissance period. His style of painting was unlike any other artist. Today, his works, the Mona Lisa and The Last Supper, are two of the world's most famous paintings. But Leonardo was much more than just a painter. He studied many different subjects and was talented in all of them. Today, someone like that is known as a Renaissance man. Leonardo watched humans and animals and made drawings to show how they moved. He was an inventor, too. He loved to draw and build things. Leonardo thought about all kinds of new machines. He drew plans for a flying machine more than 400 years before the first airplane was built. He recorded his ideas in many notebooks. Today, those notebooks and his artwork show his great talent. In modern times, people have built machines using the designs in his notebooks. His plans were so good that some of the machines actually work. Chapter 2. Early Life. Leonardo da Vinci was born on April 15, 1452. His family lived in a village called Anciano, in what is now Italy. The nearest town was Vinci. That is how he got his name. His full name means Leonardo of Vinci in Italian. Leonardo's father was named Ser Piero. He was a lawyer and a landlord. Leonardo's mother was named Caterina. She was young and poor. Leonardo was raised mostly by his father's parents and his uncle Francesco. His family made sure that he was taught reading, writing, and arithmetic. Leonardo taught himself many other subjects later in life. Leonardo spent a great deal of time with his uncle Francesco. Francesco was a farmer. He took Leonardo on walks around Vinci. He showed his nephew the beauty of nature. Vinci had many hills, olive trees, and gardens. It was a good place to enjoy nature. Leonardo loved the colors of leaves and flowers. He studied how water moved. He saw how things looked different in and out of sunlight. He drew everything he saw. Leonardo's love of nature showed in his art and other creations. His detailed drawings helped make all of the natural objects in his paintings look as if they were real. Chapter 3. An Artist's Beginning. Ser Piero knew that his son was talented. When Leonardo was about 15 years old, Ser Piero arranged for him to study painting in the city of Florence. Leonardo helped the artist Andrea del Verrocchio in his studio. Verrocchio taught Leonardo many skills, such as how to draw, paint, and sculpt. Leonardo also learned metalwork, carpentry, and leather arts. Verrocchio also helped him study how devices worked. Leonardo painted an angel in Verrocchio's painting The Baptism of Christ. To some people, the angel was painted perfectly. The buyer of the painting loved the angel more than anything else. According to one story, Verrocchio was so impressed with Leonardo's angel that he vowed never to paint again. Leonardo became a member of Florence's Painters Guild in 1472. This meant he was accepted as a professional artist at age 20. However, Leonardo continued to work in his teacher's workshop for 5 more years. Leonardo was popular with many patrons. They had a lot of money to spend on artwork, and they wanted Leonardo to make art for them. In 1482, Leonardo moved to Milan. He went to work for Ludovico Sforza, who was a duke and the ruler of the city. Leonardo spent 17 years in Milan. He had his own workshop and students. Some of his students became famous painters themselves. During his time in Milan, he is said to have finished 6 paintings for the duke. However, 3 of those paintings have been lost. Sforza also wanted Leonardo to make a horse sculpture to honor his dead father. Leonardo made a clay model of a horse. It was more than 20 feet tall. Leonardo spent more than 10 years building the horse. He planned to make a final horse in bronze, but he never did. Milan was at war, and bronze was needed to make cannons. This plan was like many of Leonardo's projects. He was a great dreamer, but he could not always finish his work. He took a lot of time. He would step back and look at each detail. He would study the science of what he did. Leonardo wanted his work to be perfect. Leonardo did finish one of his most famous works during this period, however. From 1495 to 1498, he made a painting on a wall in a dining hall used by Christian monks. The painting was called The Last Supper. It shows an important event in the story of Christianity. People have always loved the beauty of the painting and how real the men look. Unfortunately, not much of the original painting remains today. It has faded and crumbled with time. However, it was restored in the late 1900s and can still be seen in the dining hall. There are also many copies of the painting. Some were made by Leonardo's assistants. Chapter 4. Leonardo's Notebooks. In Milan, Leonardo started to think more about science. He realized that knowing how things worked would make him a better artist, scientist, and inventor. Leonardo still loved painting and drawing, but he wanted to design more things. He drew everything in notebooks. He would sketch ideas for paintings and things he saw in nature. He would dream of beautiful buildings and machines that could do new things. He watched birds fly and wanted to do the same. He drew plans for flying machines and the pieces needed to make them fly. One odd fact about Leonardo's notebooks is that he wrote them using mirror writing. Mirror writing reads from right to left, which is how normal writing would look in a mirror. Some people think he did this because he was left-handed and did not want to smudge his writing. Others think he wanted to make it hard for people to take his ideas. In 1503, Leonardo returned to Florence. He was welcomed to the city as a famous artist, but he was also known for his other interests. He was hired as an expert in architecture to find out why a church in Florence had been damaged. He also worked in the military, sketching plans and creating maps of cities. Leonardo even drew up plans to change the course of a river that ran behind the city of Pisa. Although he was not successful, this led to another plan to build a water canal that would connect Florence to the sea. The plans were never carried out, but centuries later, a highway was built in the same place Leonardo had chosen for his canal. Leonardo also spent a lot of time in hospitals studying the human body. There are many sketches of parts of the body in his notebooks. Chapter 5. The Mona Lisa. In Florence, Leonardo worked on some of his greatest paintings. One was the Mona Lisa. This is probably his most popular painting today. The Mona Lisa is a portrait of a woman. For many centuries, no one knew who the woman in the Mona Lisa was. Experts now think that she may have been Lisa Gherardini, the wife of a merchant from Florence. The merchant's last name was Gioconda, so the painting is sometimes called La Gioconda. The painting is mysterious in other ways, too. The woman in the painting seems to be smiling, but many people have wondered about her expression. No one knows exactly what it means. This is Leonardo's genius. His artwork looks so real that it makes people care about who or what is in them. The Mona Lisa draws thousands of visitors to the Louvre every year. The painting was stolen once, but it was recovered 2 years later. It is now displayed behind protective glass. Chapter 6. Leonardo's Final Years. Leonardo returned to Milan in 1506. In 1513, he moved to Rome. Many other famous artists were working in Rome at that time, but Leonardo stayed only 3 years. In 1516, Leonardo moved to Cleux, now Clos-Lucé, France. He was there to work for King Francis I of France. His title was First Painter, Architect, and Engineer to the King. The king paid Leonardo to do anything the artist wanted. Leonardo spent much of his time in France editing his writings. For the king, he drew plans for a palace and garden. He also made sketches for court festivals. Otherwise, the king left him alone and treated him as an honored guest. Leonardo died in Cleux on May 2, 1519. He was buried in the palace church of St. Florentine. The church was torn down in the early 1800s. Leonardo's grave can no longer be found. His paintings and notebooks are still studied and enjoyed by millions of people around the world.
Vincent van Gogh, Master of Post-Impressionist Painting, by Jennifer Landau. Chapter 1. Who was Vincent van Gogh? Vincent van Gogh was one of the world's most famous artists. During his lifetime, he sold only one painting. Today, his paintings sell for millions of dollars. Van Gogh lived in Europe in the 1800s. He began painting around 1880. Before that, he had worked many different jobs. Van Gogh painted for just 10 years, but in those 10 years he created more than 800 paintings and 700 drawings. He moved throughout Europe during that time, meeting many great artists along the way. In 1888, he moved to the town of Arles in France, where he did some of his best work. As an artist, Van Gogh is known for his colorful self-portraits and paintings of flowers, the countryside, and working people. He painted with great speed and deep emotion. He squeezed his tubes of oil paint directly on the canvas so that each stroke of the brush could be seen. This way of painting gave his work a unique feeling of life and movement. Van Gogh had periods of great energy, but he also felt sad and nervous throughout his life. Even while dealing with difficult emotions, he kept painting. He is remembered as an important artist whose unusual way of painting helped change the way people look at both art and the world. Chapter 2. A Painter's Early Years. Vincent Willem van Gogh was born on March 30, 1853, in Zundert, the Netherlands. He was the oldest child of Theodorus van Gogh and Anna Cornelia Carbentus. Vincent's father was a minister. His mother studied plants and flowers and drew many pictures of them. She thought Vincent had talent, but she did not think that he would become a great artist. Vincent had 2 younger brothers named Theodorus, Theo, and Cornelius. He had 3 younger sisters named Anna, Elizabeth, and Wilhelmina. He was very close to his brother Theo, who was 4 years younger than he was. The Van Gogh family did not have a lot of money. The 8 of them lived in a very small house. The children spent many hours outside each day. Young Vincent felt a strong connection to nature and to the poor people who worked the farmland. When Vincent was 11, he was sent to a boarding school in another town. He felt homesick, but he did well enough in his classes to move on to another school. There he studied German, French, and English. He also took a drawing class. Within a few years, Vincent suddenly left school and returned home. The family had to decide what their oldest son would do for a living. 3 of Vincent's 5 uncles owned art galleries. One of these uncles was named Cent, which was short for Vincent. Uncle Cent gave Vincent a chance to learn the art business. He offered Vincent a position as an apprentice for a company called Goupil. The company's main office was in Paris, France. However, Goupil also had an office in The Hague, a large city in the Netherlands. At age 16, Vincent went to work in The Hague. Later, he worked for Goupil in London from 1873 to 1875. While learning the business at Goupil, Vincent saw the work of many great artists. There were 2 French painters of that time that he loved. Jean-François Millet painted country living scenes, and Camille Corot painted landscapes. In 1874, while working in London, Vincent became very sad. He had fallen in love with a woman who did not love him back. In 1875, he was sent to Paris, France, to work for Goupil, but he began to lose interest in the art business. He was mean to customers and did not always show up for work. In April 1876, he was fired from his job. Chapter 3. Becoming an Artist. After he was fired from Goupil, Van Gogh took other jobs. He taught at a boarding school and worked at a bookstore. He did not enjoy these jobs and decided to become a minister like his father. In 1878, Van Gogh worked as a missionary with coal miners in Belgium. The miners were poor and had to work under dangerous conditions. Van Gogh decided to give up all he owned to live more like the poor miners. He often went without food and slept on the floor. Many people thought Van Gogh acted strangely. He did not get along with the people who had hired him as a missionary. They did not ask him to continue working there. Soon, Van Gogh expressed an interest in creating art. In 1880, he moved to Brussels, Belgium, to study drawing. The next year, Van Gogh moved to The Hague to study painting with the artist Anton Mauve. Mauve was married to Van Gogh's cousin. Van Gogh set up a studio and began working with oil paints. He received support from his uncle Cornelius, who asked Van Gogh to paint 12 different views of The Hague. He also received money from his brother Theo. In 1883, Van Gogh moved in with his parents in Nuenen, the Netherlands. Van Gogh did not always get along with his parents, but they let him turn the laundry room into an art studio. When his mother broke her leg, Vincent took care of her. This made Vincent's father feel better about having him in the house. Between 1883 and 1885, Van Gogh painted nearly 200 paintings. One of these paintings was The Potato Eaters. The painting shows peasants sharing a meal of potatoes. Van Gogh used thick paint and dark colors in the painting. He wanted the potato eaters to look as if it had been painted with the soil of the fields in which the peasants worked. The dark colors are meant to give a feeling of how hard life was for poor people. At the time, Theo did not like his brother's painting. He said that Vincent was using darker colors than other artists, and that people would not like his work. Today, The Potato Eaters is thought of as Van Gogh's first masterpiece. Chapter 4. A New Way of Painting. Van Gogh's father died in 1885, shortly before Van Gogh completed The Potato Eaters. Van Gogh did not stop working on his paintings. He moved to Antwerp, Belgium, later that year. He would never again return to the Netherlands. In Antwerp, he studied painting at an art school and spent time at the museums. He saw Japanese prints for the first time. He studied their simple patterns and hung many of them on the walls where he lived. In Antwerp, Van Gogh spent what little money he had on paints and models. He had very little left to buy food. His health was not good, and he began to lose his teeth. At the art school, people laughed at the way he dressed like a workman and how his clothes were covered in paint. The instructors at the school did not like Van Gogh's style of painting. Van Gogh argued with them. The instructors kept him from moving on to the next level in the school. In 1886, Van Gogh left the art school in Antwerp. He moved to Paris, France, and lived with his brother Theo. In Paris, Van Gogh met artists such as Henri de Toulouse-Lautrec, Paul Signac, and Paul Gauguin. Van Gogh was very interested in a style of painting called Impressionism. In Impressionism, artists use bright colors and short strokes of the paintbrush to create scenes of daily life. Van Gogh began to use much brighter colors in his own work. Van Gogh is viewed as part of a group of artists known as Post-Impressionists. These artists did not agree on one style of painting. An artist named Georges Seurat painted by using dots of color. Paul Gauguin, who would later live with Van Gogh, used bright colors to paint pictures of places such as the island of Tahiti in the South Pacific. Chapter 5. An Artist for All Time. Van Gogh grew tired of city life in Paris. In 1888, he moved to Arles, a town in southeastern France. Van Gogh worked long hours while in Arles. In 1 month alone, he painted 14 pictures. In October 1888, artist Paul Gauguin came to live with Van Gogh. To celebrate, Van Gogh painted pictures of sunflowers and put them in Gauguin's room. The two men painted together and went to visit art galleries. They fought a lot, too. Many people believe that after a bad fight between the two on Christmas Eve, 1888, Van Gogh cut off the lower part of his left ear. However, there are some who think that Gauguin cut off Van Gogh's ear and that Van Gogh said he did it himself to protect his friend. Van Gogh went to the hospital and Gauguin moved to Paris. Shortly afterward, Van Gogh painted a self-portrait of himself with a bandaged ear. After the fight with Gauguin, Van Gogh continued to struggle with feelings of sadness and nervousness. He went to stay in a hospital in Saint-Rémy to deal with his feelings. One of his most famous paintings from his year in Saint-Rémy is The Starry Night. He painted the starry night from memory and used thick brush strokes to create the swirls of clouds in the night sky. In 1890, Van Gogh left the hospital. He moved to Auvers-sur-Oise, near Paris. One of his last paintings was Wheatfield with Crows, which seems to match the mood that Van Gogh felt at the time. This work shows crows in a dark sky flying above a field painted with short jabs of paint. A few months after leaving the hospital, Van Gogh became very sad and shot himself. He died 2 days later on July 29, 1890. 6 months later, his brother Theo died from an illness. The brothers are buried next to each other in Auvers-sur-Oise, France. Although Van Gogh did not become famous during his lifetime, he loved to paint and showed great bravery by working even when he was ill. His paintings and drawings continue to inspire artists all over the world.
Nelson Mandela, Nobel Peace Prize winning champion for hope and harmony, by Tracy Baptiste. Chapter 1. Who was Nelson Mandela? Nelson Mandela was the first black president of South Africa. He was a great leader. Many people admired him for his forgiveness and courage, setting an example. For many years, black people in South Africa were not treated fairly. Most of the people in the country were black, but white people controlled the government. The government made laws that said where blacks could live and work. Blacks were not allowed to own land or to travel freely. The laws were part of a system called apartheid. The government used apartheid to keep people of different races separated. Mandela and others protested to end apartheid laws. Mandela was sent to jail for life. But in 1990, after 27 years, he was freed. South Africa was deeply divided. After Mandela became president, he tried to set an example. He worked for peace and unity. Life after politics. Mandela served only one 5-year term as president. After that, he worked with groups that promoted peace and human rights. He wanted to solve many problems, such as disease and world poverty. After he died, people felt a great loss. Chapter 2. Birth of a Troublemaker. Nelson Mandela was born on July 18, 1918, in Mfezo, South Africa. His father named him Rolihlahla. It means troublemaker in the Xhosa language. He was a member of the Madiba clan of the Tembu, a Xhosa-speaking people. A royal family. Nelson Mandela's father was a chief of the Tembu people. He settled arguments and advised other chiefs. One day, Mandela's father argued with a white law official about some cattle. The man took away the chief's job. Even as a chief, a black man did not have much power. Mandela's family had to leave their home. They went to live in a country village called Kunu. Mandela loved the country. He played stick fighting. He herded the family's sheep and goats. At age 7, he was sent to school. His teacher gave him a new name, Nelson. When Mandela was still a child, his father died. He was sent to the home of an even greater chief, Jongintaba. The chief's house was called the Great Place. At tribal meetings, the chief listened to arguments. The chief allowed everyone to participate and to come to a consensus together. Mandela learned this was a good way to lead. At age 16, Mandela went through a traditional coming-of-age ceremony. Men told stories at the ceremony. Mandela learned that the Xhosa people were once powerful. Then Europeans took over the country. After that, the Xhosa were poor and powerless. The speeches changed him. Chapter 3. Political Life. Mandela began to think more about the way blacks were treated in South Africa. He worked hard at his schoolwork and did well as a result. He went to the only university that blacks were allowed to attend. In his second year at school, he was forced to leave because he joined in a protest. Life in Johannesburg. He returned to his home. Chief Jongintaba arranged a marriage for him. Mandela did not want to marry. He ran away to Johannesburg. There he found work as a guard in the mines. Not long after, he met a businessman named Walter Sisulu. Sisulu helped Mandela learn about politics. He also helped Mandela find work with a white law firm. Mandela's salary of $4 a week was barely enough to live on. He often skipped meals and walked 6 miles to and from work. He finished his university study by mail. Johannesburg was a big city. Mandela saw that the nice shops and expensive cars were owned by white people. In his part of town, the houses had no electricity, running water, or telephones. The roads were dirt tracks. Gangs roamed the streets at night. Mandela began to study law so he could help people, joining the ANC. In 1944, Mandela married Evelyn Mays. That same year, he joined the African National Congress, ANC. The ANC was a political group. The members worked to end discrimination. They wanted equal rights for all South Africans, whether they were black, mixed race, Asian, or white. In 1948, apartheid became law in South Africa. Non-white people had to carry a pass that told who they were. They could not go to certain places. They could get only low-paying jobs. They could live only in certain areas. Most of those areas were very poor. Whites and non-whites were not allowed to do things together. They could not use the same bathrooms or go to the same schools. Non-whites could not be part of the government. The police arrested anyone who disagreed with the government. They could harm or kill anyone they arrested. People could be held for a long time without a trial, seeing a lawyer, or a way to talk to their families. Mandela and Oliver Tambo opened a law firm in 1952. It was the first black law firm in South Africa. They had a lot of work because they wanted to help everyone. Protests. Mandela helped the ANC with protests. At one protest, people burned their passbooks. About 8,500 people were arrested. Mandela and more than 100 other people were charged with treason. They could be put to death. The treason trial ended in 1961. Everyone was found innocent. During that time, Mandela and Evelyn's marriage ended. He married Winnie Madikizela in 1958. At first, Mandela believed in peaceful protests only. He changed his mind in 1960. During a protest that year in a town called Sharpeville, the police shot and killed 69 people and wounded almost 200. Mandela felt the need to fight back. He helped organize a new wing of the ANC. It was called Umkhonto weSizwe, Spear of the Nation. The members attacked government buildings. Not long after their first attack, Mandela was arrested. Chapter 4. Prisoner number 46664. Mandela and other members of Umkhonto weSizwe were tried in the Rivonia trial. They were sentenced to life in prison in 1964. Others took up the fight to end apartheid. People protested all over the world, but it would be 27 years before Mandela gained his freedom. Trial. Mandela knew that he could be sentenced to death. When he had the chance to speak, he explained why he had to use violence to try to end apartheid. At the end of his 4-hour speech, he said, "I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. It is an ideal for which I am prepared to die. Life in prison." Mandela was sent to the prison on Robben Island. It was the harshest prison in South Africa. He was given the number 466/64. This meant he was the 466th prisoner in that year, 1964. He was 46 years old. White armed guards with dogs shouted orders. He and other political prisoners had the worst food and the least freedoms. Mandela still led protests. The prisoners worked slowly. They talked and passed messages in secret. One morning, the prisoners were given sewing needles and clothes to fix. They usually got hammers to break rocks. Soon, 2 people from a newspaper in London, England arrived. They talked to Mandela and took pictures. As soon as they left, the prisoners were given hammers again. At another time, the prisoners were given better food for a few days. Then a visitor from the Red Cross arrived. The prison wanted outsiders to think that prisoners were being treated well. At first, Mandela could send only 2 letters a year and get 2 back. Prison guards censored the letters. They blacked out or cut out words. Twice, Mandela got bad news. In 1968, his mother died. The following year, his oldest son, Tembi, died in a car crash. Sometimes many years passed between seeing any of his 5 children. He did not see his wife, Winnie, often either. Sometimes she was in jail herself for fighting injustice. Freedom. In 1969, a guard told Mandela about a plan to help him escape. Mandela did not trust the guard. He was right. It was a plan by the government to shoot and kill Mandela. People around the world wanted Mandela freed. In 1982, he was moved to another prison. He had his own bathroom and could hug Winnie for the first time in 21 years. He began secret talks with President P.W. Botha about peace, but Botha still wanted white-only rule. In 1989, F.W. de Klerk became president. He agreed that all people should work together. Soon, political prisoners were being released. Then, in February 1990, de Klerk announced that Mandela would be released as well. Chapter 5. President Mandela. People all over the world celebrated Mandela's freedom. 4 years after his release, he was elected president of South Africa. Mandela then worked to bring the country together after so many years of hatred. Free at last. Mandela walked free on Sunday, February 11, 1990. He had been in prison for 10,000 days. He was 71 years old. Mandela went right back to work. He and de Klerk worked on a new constitution. It would give everyone equal rights. It was adopted in 1993. That same year, Mandela and de Klerk shared the Nobel Peace Prize. The first free elections took place in 1994. Millions of black South Africans voted for the first time. Mandela became president. He focused on ending poverty for black people. He also worked for peace and unity between all groups. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission. In 1995, the government set up the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, TRC. Its job was to find out about apartheid crimes. Anyone could give evidence. No one would be charged for crimes. Over 22,000 people spoke up. The hearings were put on radio and television in all South African languages. That gave the public the opportunity to hear what had happened in their country. After the hearings, the TRC released a report. Many people finally found out about missing or dead family and friends. The TRC had an effect beyond South Africa too. Other countries learned from the process. They established similar committees to address their own problems. Retiring from politics. Mandela's marriage to Winnie did not last. They divorced in 1996. When Mandela's term as president ended in 1999, he decided to retire from politics. By then, he had married a third time to Gracia Machel in 1998. In 2007, he and other retired world leaders formed a group called the Elders. They wanted to create a global village with wise and experienced leaders. They worked to address worldwide problems. Health and legacy. Mandela had several health problems. Some were because of a lung infection he got in prison. He was treated for cancer in 2001 and 2004. He died at his home in Kunu on December 5, 2013. Many people talked about what a great man Mandela was. Jacob Zuma, president of South Africa, said, "Our nation has lost its greatest son." Barack Obama, president of the United States, said, "He set an example that all humanity should aspire to." David Cameron, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, said, "Nelson Mandela was a hero of all time." Experiments about the Natural World by Zella Williams. The natural world. What do the sky, the wind, animals, insects, and plants all have in common? They are all part of the natural world. Scientists ask questions about the world all the time. They do experiments to find out the answers. Look around you. Can you think of any questions you have about the natural world? By trying to find the answers to your questions, you are acting like a scientist. Let's find out more about the natural world. Blue sky. Why does the sky look blue on a sunny day? Sunlight is made up of red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet light. The air is made up of many tiny bits. Most colors in the light move directly through the air. The blue and indigo parts of the light bump into the bits of air. This light spreads out and makes the sky look blue. Light can make a glass of milk look blue too. Let's do it. 1. Fill a glass partway with milk. 2. In a dark room, shine a flashlight into the top of the glass of milk. 3. What happened? The glass looks blue because the bits that make up the milk take in the red, orange, yellow, green, and violet colors, but not the indigo and blue colors in the light. Instead, the milk pushed the blue light to the sides. Backyard biodiversity. Biodiversity is the amount of different living things that are found in one place. Rainforests and coral reefs are two places on Earth that have a lot of biodiversity. You can learn about biodiversity in your own backyard.
See what plants and animals you can find. Is there a lot of biodiversity where you live? Let's do it. 1. Look in your backyard for large rocks or trees on the ground. If you can't find any, ask an adult to take you to a park or other wooded place. Find a good rock or log and carefully flip it over. 2. Look closely at what you see under the rock or log. Are there any bugs or worms? If not, you might want to wait for a rainy day and try again. If you see some things, use your magnifying glass to get a closer look. 3. Use a short stick to break up the soil under the rock. Does anything new crawl up? In your notebook, draw the animals you see under the rock or log, then carefully place the object back where you found it. The space under the rock or log is one example of a special place that makes a home for plants and animals. Let's take a micro hike. Sometimes it is hard to see all the animals that live in your backyard or in the neighborhood park. Many animals are just too small. To find out what kinds of animals are living in your yard or the park, take a micro hike. A micro hike is a very small walk in a very small space. Let's do it. 1. With your string, make a circle on the ground big enough for you to move around in. 2. Step inside the circle and get down as close to the ground as you can. Now crawl around very slowly. 3. With the help of a magnifying glass, the ground seems to come alive. How many different things can you find? Are there any worms or other bugs? Is there anything growing in the dirt? Take a micro hike in different parts of your yard. Do you find different animals or plants in different places? Keeping warm. Have you ever wondered how animals stay warm in cold weather? Many animals that live in cold places have insulation. Insulation is a layer that traps heat. The heat then does not move from the body to the cooler air outside. In this experiment, you will test different kinds of insulation. Let's do it. 1. Pick one type of insulation and use it to fill a large coffee can halfway. 2. Fill both small cans with hot tap water and place one in the center of the large coffee can. Pack more insulation around the small can that is in the coffee can. Place the other small can on the table without any insulation. 3. Use a thermometer to find out how hot or cold the water in each small can is. Write what you find in your notebook. 4. Take the temperature of each small can every 10 minutes. Keep doing this for 1 hour. What happens? The water in the can without insulation gets colder much faster than does the water in the other can. 5. Do the experiment again with different kinds of insulation. Which insulation works the best? Feeding time. Birds are a part of the natural world. They live in the country, in the city, on mountainsides, and along the shore. You can find out about the birds near you by making a bird feeder. What kinds of birds live in your neighborhood? What kind of food do they like best? Build a feeder and find out. Let's do it. 1. Have an adult use a knife to carefully cut 4 16-ounce plastic bottles so that you are left with 4 cups, each about 2 inches, 5 centimeters deep. 2. Glue the 4 cups to the board. Poke small holes in the bottom of each cup so that rain will not gather in them. On each cup, write the name of the kind of food you will put in the cup. 3. Make a roof for your feeder from heavy plastic and a wire coat hanger. Fill each cup with a different feed. Find a quiet spot near a tree or bush for the feeder. The feeder should also be up off the ground. 4. Watch your feeder as much as you can for 2 weeks. In a bird guide, look up the names of the birds you see. In your notebook, make notes about which birds eat from which cup. How many different kinds of birds visit your feeder? It's a bug-eat-bug world. Everything in the natural world has a special place in the ecosystem. Some animals eat plants. Some animals eat other animals. Animals that eat other animals are called predators. The animals they hunt are called prey. Follow the steps below to learn about some of the predators and prey near you. Let's do it. 1. Look for a spot with lots of plants in your yard or the park. Pick a plant and search it carefully for insects. Gather any insects that you find and place them in a jar. Do not touch biting insects such as bees, wasps, and ants. 2. Your insect book will help you name the insects that you find. Fill in as many facts about each insect as you can in your notebook. 3. Do steps 1 and 2 again with another plant. If the plant does not have any insects, note this in your notebook and pick another one. 4.
Did you find more predators or more prey? Where did you find most of the predator insects? Where did you find most of the prey? What color were the predators and the prey? How might their color help them? Build a bug trap. If you turn over a rock in your backyard, you'll likely find some bugs or insects there. Some bugs eat plants. Some bugs help break down matter in the soil. Some bugs eat other bugs. What kind of bugs do you think you'll find? You can make a simple bug trap and find out. Let's do it. 1. Bring your jar out into the yard or to the park. Dig a hole as big as the jar. Put the jar in the hole so the top is in line with the ground and fill in around it with dirt. 2. Place 4 small stones around the top of the jar. 3. Rest a piece of wood on top of the stones. The wood should be raised just a little bit over the jar opening. Insects will crawl under the wood and fall into the jar. They cannot climb the high glass walls, so they will be trapped. 4. Check the trap at different times of day. When do you catch the most bugs? Be sure to let the bugs go after you look at them. Go on a leaf hunt. Look around your yard or the park. What is different about each tree you see? It is most likely the shapes of the leaves. America is covered with many kinds of trees, such as oak trees and maple trees. Each kind of tree has a different shaped leaf. Let's do it. 1. Gather several different kinds of leaves from your backyard or your neighborhood. 2. Place the leaf on the paper and mark around it with your pencil. Be careful. Make sure to follow every edge and point of the leaf so your pencil line matches the shape of the leaf. When you're finished, send a friend or family member on a leaf hunt. 3. Give him or her the sheets of paper. Ask this person to find leaves just like the ones you have drawn. Then try to find the tree from which each leaf came. 4. Ask an adult to help you look up the kind of trees the leaves come from in a book. You could even make name tags for the trees so everyone will know what kinds of trees they are. A learning adventure. We have just learned a little about the natural world. There is so much more to find out, though. Keep looking at the world like a scientist. Just start with a question and try to find the answer. You are sure to uncover lots of fun facts about the natural world. No matter what you want to find out next, remember to have fun. Learning about the natural world can be a lifelong adventure.
What is soil? By Joe Greek. The soil beneath your feet. You may not think much about the dirt beneath your feet, but it is necessary for most life on Earth. Soil provides a place for plants to grow. Plants obtain food and water from the soil. Animals need plants for food and for the oxygen we need to breathe. Soil is also home to many creatures. Some are large, and others are so small you need a microscope to see them. These creatures are all part of an ecosystem that keeps soil, plants, and animals healthy. Soil looks and feels different depending on where you are. There are more than 70,000 types of soil in the United States alone. It takes hundreds of years to make soil. Sadly, it can be damaged very quickly. What is soil good for? Most life on Earth needs soil to survive. Plants need soil to hold them in place and to provide food. Soil contains nutrients for plants. These are food substances that help plants grow. Soil also holds water that is absorbed by the roots. Without soil, plants could not survive. Because plants give off the oxygen we need to breathe, we could not survive without soil either. Plants, such as grass, help prevent the top layer of soil from being washed away by water or blown away by wind. Not all soils can support a large amount of plant life. In deserts, where most plants cannot grow, sandstorms frequently reshape the land. How soil is made. 5 major factors control how soil is made. The first is the parent materials. These are basic minerals and organic matter, remains of plants and animals. The minerals come from rocks that have broken into tiny pieces over time. These tiny pieces, or particles, are called regolith. Weathering is another force that creates soil. This happens when forces like wind or rain break minerals into regolith. These forces also carry bits of soil and other particles from one place to another. It can take millions of years for a stony surface to be broken down by weathering. Climate is another strong force that affects how quickly or slowly soil is formed. Warmer temperatures and high levels of water can speed up the process. Cooler temperatures and less water can slow down the formation of soil. Land surface features, such as hills and valleys, also affect how soils develop. Soils in high, steep areas, like mountains, form slower than those in low, flat areas. This is because steep slopes are more exposed to weathering forces that remove soil as it forms. Plants and animals also affect soil formation. Soil is enriched by absorbing wastes and decaying animals. Plant roots can also grow into cracks found in rocks and break them into smaller pieces. The layers of soil. There are 4 different layers of soil. Each layer is called a horizon. The top layer is very thin. It is made up of humus, which is living and dead leaves, plants, and bugs. The soil is very dark in this layer. Just beneath this layer is topsoil. It also has nutrients, and it holds the roots of smaller plants. The next layer of soil is the ground layer. It is called subsoil. Subsoil contains mostly minerals and a small amount of humus. Only the deepest plant roots, such as trees, can reach the subsoil. The 4th layer is called the regolith. This layer is made up of broken rock. Very little organic material is found in this layer. It is also too deep for plant roots. Beneath the regolith is solid rock. This is called bedrock. The need for topsoil. Topsoil is the layer of soil that supports plant life. It is mainly made up of minerals with equal parts water and air and small amounts of organic matter. Near great rivers, the topsoil may be hundreds of feet deep. In most places, however, the topsoil is only about 6 inches, 15 centimeters deep. Topsoil is the most valuable layer of soil for the survival of animals and humans. Without it, farmers would not be able to grow the food we eat. Animals that only eat plants would quickly starve. Meat-eating animals would also be unable to survive. Inside the topsoil, there are small spaces that hold water and air. These spaces are called pores and can be found in the nutrient-rich humus. The pores help keep the soil soft and loose. It is difficult to farm in topsoil that has very little humus. Air found in topsoil is very different from the air we breathe. Because it is not exposed to moving air, it tends to be very moist. There is also more carbon dioxide than oxygen in topsoil. Over time, the carbon dioxide escapes from the topsoil into the atmosphere. Trees and other plants turn carbon dioxide into the oxygen people breathe. New topsoil is made all the time, but it is a very slow process. It takes between 500 and 1,000 years for 1 inch, 2 centimeters, of topsoil to form. While it takes a very long time for topsoil to form, people can destroy it very quickly. Farming the same area of topsoil every year can reduce the amount of nutrients found in it. Governments and soil scientists work together to find ways to protect topsoil. Creatures in the soil. Plants are not the only living things that call the soil their home. Many animals, both small and big, can be found in the ground. Some even make homes underground to stay safe from bigger animals above. Millions of tiny organisms can be found in a spoonful of soil. They are so small that we cannot see them. Scientists have to use microscopes to see and study these organisms. Some animals that live in the soil are easy to see. Some of these are bugs and insects, such as ants and centipedes that spend most of their lives underground. Earthworms and larger creatures, such as some reptiles and small mammals, also live underground. The colors of soil. The color of the soil where you live may be different than in other places. Several factors affect the color of the soil in different places. Soils with organic matter are black or dark brown. Red soils can be found in areas that have warm summers and mild to cold winters. The red color of the soil is caused by the presence of iron oxides. Like red soils, yellow soils have iron oxides present. However, yellow soils also contain more water than red soils. Gray and white soils can be found in places that have no iron or humus. These include soils that developed from sand or light-colored rock, such as limestone. Soil textures. There are 3 types of soil textures: clay, sand, and loam. The size of the particles in the soil determines if the texture is smooth or rough. The texture can also tell us how much water the soil can absorb. Clay soils feel very smooth. Their particles are very small and packed tightly together. Farmers call them heavy soils because it is hard to pull a plow through them. They do not absorb water very well. The particles in sand, however, are big. They can be easily seen without a microscope and feel gritty. Particles in sandy soils are loose and do not absorb water well. The size of particles found in loam soils falls in between those found in clays and sandy soils. They are able to easily absorb and hold water. Most of the world's farming soil is a type of loam. Natural changes. Wind, water, and other natural forces cause rocks and soil to wear away. Sometimes the particles that are worn away are carried to another area. These processes are called weathering and erosion. They change the shape of the land. Wind carries sand and other small bits of earth from one place to another. In dry, sandy areas, this process can constantly create and erode sand dunes. In other places, the changes may take place over longer periods of time. River water picks up and moves mud, pebbles, and larger rocks as it flows downstream. These particles rub against the riverbed and erode or wear away more rock and soil. When water keeps flowing over one area, it can wear away the rock over a long period of time. Weathering and erosion can be very harmful to farmland. Crops depend on rich soil for healthy growth, but this top layer of soil is thin. Wind and flowing water can sweep it away. Pollution and soil. Littering, or tossing garbage on the ground, is a form of land pollution. Litter is unpleasant to look at, but more important, litter can destroy the habitats or homes of plants and animals. Litter can cover the ground and cut off air and water to animals and plants. Some litter, such as plastics and batteries, contain chemicals that are dangerous. Other chemicals used on the ground by farms and factories, such as pesticides, can also be poisonous. The buildup of dangerous chemicals in the ground is harmful to soil. These chemicals can spread to plants and animals. They may even harm people who eat the contaminated plants and animals. Chemicals in soil can also spread to nearby water, such as a river. Drinking the polluted water can hurt or kill animals and people. Taking care of the soil. While it is a very thin layer of earth, the soil is very important to life on the planet. Without it, we would not be able to survive. It is everyone's job to take care of the environment, including the soil. Farmers use several methods to slow down erosion. They plant trees around farmland to block wind. They also cut terraces or ledges into sloping land. Water gathers on the terraces rather than rushing down the slope and carrying away the soil. We can all help protect the soil by not littering. By recycling our garbage, such as paper and plastic, we are doing our part to keep the ground and soil clean. When we take care of the soil, we make the world a better and healthier place to live. Experiments on the Weather by Zella Williams. What's the weather? Some days it rains. Some days it is hot and sunny. Sometimes it is windy or cold. Weather's happening all the time. We pay attention to it so we know how to dress or so we can plan our day. Is it a day for the beach or a day to curl up with a book inside? Scientists who study the weather are called meteorologists. Try the experiments in this book so you can learn more about the weather too. Warming up Earth. Earth is circled by miles of gases called the atmosphere. These gases make our weather possible. Without the atmosphere, Earth would be a very cold and windy place. The gases in the atmosphere let heat in to reach Earth, but do not let it leave. This is called the greenhouse effect. Let's do it. 1. Place one of the thermometers in the plastic bag and seal it. A thermometer is a tool that tells how hot or cold something is. 2. On a sunny day, find a spot outside without shade. Put the thermometers next to each other in the sunny spot. 3. Wait 15 minutes. 4. Read the thermometers. Does one show a warmer temperature than the other? The thermometer that has been in the plastic bag should have a higher temperature than the one without a bag. The sun's rays, which make heat, enter the bag, and the heat cannot get out easily. This is also how the atmosphere works. It traps heat around Earth. Fast wind, slow wind. The air around Earth is always moving. Warm air rises and cool air sinks. As the air moves around, it makes wind. Strong winds happen when really warm air meets really cool air. You can find out how fast the wind is moving by using a tool called an anemometer. Let's do it. 1. Take your pencil and poke 4 holes near the rim of one of your cups. There should be the same amount of space between each hole. Poke another hole in the bottom of the cup. 2. Slide each straw through 2 of the facing holes in the cup's rim so that the straws cross to form an X. One straw will cross above the other. 3. Tape the bottom of one cup to the end of one straw. Tape the other 3 cups to the other 3 ends of the straws. Make sure the cups all face in the same direction. Use a felt tip pen to make a mark on one of the cups. The colored cup will make it easier to see how fast your anemometer moves in the wind. 4. Carefully push a pin through the center of your straw X. Poke your pencil through the hole in the bottom of the cup, eraser side up. Now, push the pin into the eraser of the pencil, and stick the other end of the pencil into your cup of clay or Play-Doh. You have made an anemometer. Place your anemometer outside. If it is very windy, the cups will spin quickly. If there is little wind, they will spin slowly. The power of the wind. We use many of Earth's resources to make electricity. Some of these resources will someday be used up. Some resources, like the wind and the sun, will not be used up. These resources can be caught and turned into electricity. Weather has power. Try this. Let's do it. 1. Use a ruler to draw an X on the piece of paper. Make your X by laying the ruler down so that it passes through the top right corner and the bottom left corner of the paper. Use the pencil to draw a line. Do the same for the other 2 corners. 2. At the center of the X, draw a 1 by 1 inch, 2.5 by 2.5 centimeter square. The center of the X also should be the center of the square. 3. Starting at one corner, cut along the pencil line until you reach the square. Do the same for the other 3 corners. Be sure to stop cutting when you reach the square so the piece of paper stays together. You should have 4 triangles. 4. Bend the left corner of each triangle into the center, but do not press the paper to make a fold. Use a thumbtack to hold down the corners at the center and to fix the windmill to the wooden stick. Take your windmill outside on a windy day and watch it spin. The power from the wind turns the blades. Make your own cloud. Have you ever tried to see shapes in the clouds? Clouds are made when tiny drops of water in the air cool and stick together around bits of dust. These bits of water-covered dust gather together to form clouds. Try this to make your own cloud. Let's do it. 1. Tape the black paper to a wall near a flat place where you can set a bottle and see it easily. The paper will help you see your cloud better. 2. Have an adult help you dump about 1 cup, 237 milliliters of very hot water into a bottle. Blow into the bottle to make sure that it is as big as it can be, and put the top on. Shake the bottle for about 1 minute. This will put tiny bits of water into the air in the bottle. 3. Ask an adult to light a match. Let it burn for a few seconds. Take off the bottle top, quickly put the match in the bottle, and put the top back on. The match should be burning when you drop it in the bottle, but it will go out when it hits the water. The smoke makes bits of dust in the air where the water can gather. 4. Lay the bottle on its side and push down on the side for about 10 seconds. Place the bottle in front of the black paper. Do you see a cloud? Push down until you see a cloud form. How much rain? The tiny water drops that make clouds can stay in the air as long as they are small and light. When the air cools, the drops begin to stick together. Soon they become too heavy to stay in the clouds. They fall to the ground as rain, snow, sleet, or hail. How much rain falls to the ground where you live? Let's do it. 1. Hold a ruler against the side of the cup. Make sure the bottom of the ruler lines up with the bottom of the cup. 2. Use a permanent marker to draw lines that are 1 inch, 2.5 centimeters apart up to the top of the cup. You have made a rain gauge. A rain gauge is a tool that measures how much rain falls. 3. Place the rain gauge outside on something flat. After it rains, go out and measure how much rain fell into your gauge. Record the date, time, and amount of rain. 4. After you have 5 or 6 measurements, make a chart of the different amounts of rain on different days. Do they change much? Wait a few months and try it again. Does your chart look different? Under pressure. The air has a weight that pushes down on us. We call this air pressure. Cold air is heavy and pushes down on us a lot. This is called high pressure. Warm air is light and pushes down on us less. It is called low pressure. Low pressure often means wet weather is coming. High pressure means dry, sunny days. You can make a barometer to measure air pressure. Let's do it. 1. Cut a piece of rubber from a balloon that is big enough to fit over the mouth of the jar. 2. Pull the piece of balloon tightly over the mouth of the jar and fix the balloon to the jar with a rubber band. Make sure no air can get in the jar. Tape the straw to the top of the balloon. 3. Draw 3 lines across the card about 1 inch, 2.5 centimeters apart. On the top line, write high, and on the bottom line, write low. 4. Place the jar on something flat in front of a wall indoors. Tape the card to the wall so that the middle mark lines up with the straw. Check the position of the straw once a day for a week and see if it moves. On cold days, the straw should point toward the high pressure line. On warm days, the straw should point toward the low pressure line. If you watch the straw carefully, it will help you guess when the weather is going to change. Make a thermometer. A thermometer is the tool we use to measure the temperature. We use it to find out how hot or cold our bodies are or the air outside is. A big part of tracking the weather is knowing the temperature outside. Let's make a thermometer for use outside. Let's do it. 1. Use a 1-foot, 30.5 centimeter tube. Tightly close one end of the tube with a stopper. This will be the bottom of the thermometer. Fill the tube halfway with rubbing alcohol. Wear safety gloves and glasses, or ask an adult for help. 2. Add a little red food coloring and put a stopper in the open end of the tube. 3. Fix a piece of paper with lines drawn 1 millimeter apart to a tree. Tie the thermometer to the tree in front of the piece of paper. You will use this to figure out the temperature. 4. Call a nearby office of the National Weather Service or check the radio for the current temperature. Mark the level of the alcohol in the tube on the paper behind your thermometer. Write down the temperature next to the mark. Do this each day for a week. You will now have a guide for which line the alcohol reaches at a given temperature. Have fun using your thermometer. Weather Watcher. Do you like to go outside and play? What about when it is raining? Or when it is cloudy or very cold? The weather can really change what we do. You can guess what the weather will be by making observations. Making observations is a big part of being a scientist. Let's try an experiment. Let's do it. 1. Using your notebook, draw a picture of what the sky looks like. 2. Do this twice a day, before school and after school. Write down anything you notice about the weather. Is it cold? Is it raining? 3. After 3 weeks, you should see a pattern. You can use this pattern to guess what the weather will be like later that day or the next. Weather is fun. Weather is always changing. We can guess the weather by observing patterns, changes in temperature, or by watching the clouds. What have you learned about the weather? What do you want to find out next? Keep track of your questions in a notebook. As you try to find the answers, you will learn what it is like to be a scientist. Being a meteorologist can be lots of fun. Kangaroos by Christina Wilston. Chapter 1. A kangaroo grows up. Baby kangaroo peeks out from his mother's pouch. He has lived inside the warm pocket ever since he was born. At birth, he was no bigger than a bean. He did nothing but drink Mama Kangaroo's milk. As he drank, his body grew bigger. Now, baby kangaroo is 5 months old. He is big enough to peek at the world outside the pouch. He won't come out for another month. Until then, he will snuggle in the pouch as Mama Kangaroo bounces from place to place, searching for grass to eat and shady places to rest. Whenever he pokes his head out, he sees how kangaroos behave. One day, baby kangaroo pops out of the pouch. He takes a few shaky hops. Then he turns around to go back inside Mama Kangaroo's pouch. She relaxes her pouch so it is wide open. Baby kangaroo slips into the pocket and flips over so his head pokes out in front again. He then curls up his long tail and feet. Every day, baby kangaroo makes a few trips out of the pouch. He grows bigger and stronger. His hops become steadier. Soon he spends longer amounts of time outside the pouch. Sometimes baby kangaroo wanders a little too far away. Then Mama Kangaroo searches for him, clucking loudly. Baby kangaroo squeaks in reply. He pops back inside her pouch and settles in to drink some milk. One day, baby kangaroo tries to get back into Mama Kangaroo's pouch, but she pushes him away. He tries again and again, but his mother doesn't lean toward him, and she tightens the opening of her pouch so he can't crawl in. Mama Kangaroo keeps baby kangaroo out because he has grown too big for her pouch. She must get her pouch ready to hold a new baby, but she is not trying to drive baby kangaroo away. He still needs her to care for him. He also still drinks her milk. Baby kangaroo quickly accepts that he must stay outside the pouch now. He hops in circles around his mother. He plays with other young kangaroos. He also likes to tug on Mama Kangaroo's ears. Someday, baby kangaroo will leave his mother's side. He will hop away to find a new place to live. Until then, he will stay with Mama Kangaroo. Chapter 2. The Body of a Kangaroo. The Family Feature. There are many species of kangaroos. Some species are as tall as an adult human. Some are no bigger than a rabbit. Some live in deserts. Some live on rocks. And some live in trees. All kangaroo species have one thing in common. Females all have pouches to carry their young. Animals with this special feature are called marsupials. A baby marsupial does most of its developing inside its mother's pouch, rather than inside her body. Pocket change. A joey does not look like a kangaroo when it is born. It is pink and hairless. Its eyes are sealed shut. Its front legs look like flippers with claws. Its hind legs are just tiny stumps. A newborn red kangaroo joey is about the size of a jelly bean. It weighs less than 1 ounce, 28 grams. As soon as it is born, the tiny joey crawls blindly over its mother's fur to find her pouch. The 6-inch, 15-centimeter journey takes about 5 minutes. Once inside the pouch, the joey quickly begins nursing. It stays there for up to 4 months as it grows and its body takes shape. Meanwhile, the mother kangaroo may still be caring for an older joey. The young at foot does not enter the pouch anymore, but it still sticks its head inside to nurse, cooling and cleaning. A kangaroo's short front legs help it keep cool. A hot kangaroo licks the skin between its paws and elbows. The skin has less hair than other parts of its body. It is also rich in blood vessels close to the surface. When a breeze blows over the wet skin, it cools the blood by carrying away extra heat. This helps cool off the kangaroo's whole body. A kangaroo's front paws are shaped like hands. It uses them to scratch, groom itself, and hold on to plants. Teeth on the move. Kangaroos are plant eaters. Some species eat mostly grass. Other kinds, especially the small species, eat mostly leaves. A kangaroo has sharp front teeth for cutting plants. It has 6 sharp top teeth and 2 bottom teeth. The bottom teeth press the grass or leaves against the pad on the top of its mouth. The sharp top teeth slice through the plants. A kangaroo also has strong back teeth called molars for grinding food. These teeth get worn down over time. When a worn-out molar falls out of a kangaroo's mouth, the other molars move forward to fill the empty space. A kangaroo is very old by the time it runs out of molars. Bigfoot. Scientists call kangaroos macropods. Macro means big, and pod means foot. So a kangaroo is a Bigfoot. A kangaroo's hind feet are made for motion. Each hind foot has 4 toes, one of which is very large. This is the main toe a kangaroo uses when it hops. A second shorter toe helps out. The other 2 toes are joined together and are not used for hopping. They form a comb that the kangaroo uses to groom its fur. Small kangaroos that live among rocks have rough pads on their feet to help them grip the ground. A rock wallaby can jump from rock to rock and land on a spot no bigger than a dime without slipping. Heads up! Kangaroos are always on the alert for danger. Big kangaroos watch out for human hunters and dingoes. Little kangaroos watch out for these predators too. They must also worry about cats, foxes, eagles, snakes, and big lizards. A kangaroo's big ears turn in all directions. Its sensitive nostrils sniff the air. Its big eyes see all around it, like those of a deer. If a kangaroo senses danger, it thumps a foot on the ground to warn others. Chapter 3. Kangaroos in Motion. Hippity-hop. What can leap 20 feet, 6 meters, with ease and hop over an 8-foot, 2.4-meter fence in a single bound? The world's largest marsupial, the red kangaroo. A kangaroo does not run like other 4-legged animals do. Instead, it tucks its forelegs up and bounces along on its hind feet. A kangaroo in motion spends most of its time in the air, touching down only briefly on its big hind toes. Most kangaroos can easily hop for hours at a speed of about 20 miles, 32 kilometers per hour. When a kangaroo wants to go faster, it makes its hops longer and covers more ground with each hop. A kangaroo's legs have tough, stretchy cords in them called tendons. Tendons attach muscles to bones and act like springs. When a kangaroo lands, the tendons and muscles in its legs contract and build up energy. When the kangaroo leaps forward, the springs expand, and the kangaroo bounces forward. The longer a kangaroo's hop, the more energy it is able to build up for the next hop. Tails toil too. A kangaroo's tail does a lot of work. Watch a kangaroo hop, and you will see its tail bounce up and down as it moves. Tendons in the top of the tail store energy from its hops, just as tendons in the legs do. The tail helps the kangaroo keep its balance as it moves. It acts as a rudder when a kangaroo hops, helping it to change direction in midair. The bouncing tail even works like a pump to help the kangaroo breathe quickly as it hops. The tail also comes in handy when a kangaroo wants to crawl walk or move forward without hopping. First, the kangaroo leans forward and puts its front feet on the ground. Then it puts its tail on the ground behind them. It leans on its front legs and tail as it swings both hind legs forward to take another step. Don't walk. A swimming kangaroo can kick each leg separately. When a kangaroo hops or crawl walks on land, it always moves its hind legs together. However, a tree kangaroo uses all 4 feet when it walks along branches or leaps from limb to limb. When it's on the ground, a tree kangaroo hops. Chapter 4. Kangaroos Together. The Roo Crew. A kangaroo mob may have as few as 3 kangaroos or as many as 100. A mob does not have a leader. It seems to be just a gathering of kangaroos that happen to live in the same area. Kangaroos that live in forests tend to live alone, except when they are raising young. Even though mobs do not have leaders, some male kangaroos boss around other males. Scientists call them the dominant kangaroos. A dominant male kangaroo may try to keep other males away from the females. Kangaroos that live on Australia's grassy plains often form mobs. Being in a mob helps keep a kangaroo safe, because there are many eyes, ears, and noses to be on the alert for danger. If a predator startles the mob, the kangaroos flee in all directions. This explosion of hopping may confuse the predator so much that it cannot catch a single kangaroo. Take that! Most of the time, kangaroos live quietly. They rest during the heat of the day and feed at night when it is cool. Sometimes, however, male kangaroos turn into kickboxers. A male may fight to show that he is dominant. The dominant male is the one who will mate with the females. Fights often break out when a female is ready to mate. Kangaroo fighting is called sparring. Before a male starts sparring, he threatens another male. The threat is a warning that means scram. A gray kangaroo sends his warning by pulling up grass or scraping the ground, then rubbing his chest on the scraped area. A red kangaroo may strut around another male while keeping his side turned toward the rival. If this doesn't chase the other male away, the kangaroo stands up tall and punches at the other male with his forelegs. If the other male punches back, the two begin boxing with their front paws. They also lean back on their tails, lift their hind legs, and kick at each other's bellies. The fight ends when one kangaroo gives up and goes away. Kangaroo families. Male kangaroos do not have pouches, and they do not help females raise the joeys. But a kangaroo doe is up for the job. She may even have 3 babies of different ages all at the same time. The oldest baby hops at her heels. Tucked inside her pouch is a younger joey. The third is inside her body and has not yet been born. It will not grow big enough to be born until the joey in her pouch is out and about. How long a joey stays with its mother depends on which kind of kangaroo it is. A red kangaroo joey stays with its mother for a year and a half. A black striped wallaby baby stays with its mother for less than a year. Chapter 5. Kangaroos in the World. Kinds of kangaroos. About 55 different species of kangaroos hop around in Australia and on the nearby island of New Guinea. They are all part of the macropod family. The 6 biggest macropods are sometimes called the great kangaroos. The western gray kangaroo is one of the 6. It lives in dry scrublands and forests. It grazes at night and rests under trees during the day. The other great kangaroos are the eastern gray kangaroo, the red kangaroo, and 3 species of wallaroos. Scientists place species called rat kangaroos, potaroos, and bettongs in a related but separate family called potaroids. They look more like rodents than kangaroos. Kangaroos at home. Australia and New Guinea boast many kinds of habitats, from deserts to rainforests. Over time, kangaroos and their relatives have adapted to almost every habitat. Red kangaroos live in dry places and grasslands with a few shady trees. Gray kangaroos live in woodlands that have some open space for grazing. Some Australians call gray kangaroos foresters because they live among trees. Steep rock cliffs and deserts are home to rock wallabies, which get all the water they need from the plants they eat. The tree kangaroo, however, is adapted to the rainforest. Even its fur is parted so that rain funnels off its back instead of into its face. The future of kangaroos. Millions of red and gray kangaroos live in Australia. Aborigines have always hunted them for food. When the Europeans arrived in the 1600s, they hunted kangaroos too. But when Europeans started farming in Australia, kangaroos took food and water intended for sheep. Farmers began shooting large numbers of kangaroos. Today, red and gray kangaroos are still hunted to control their population. This hunt is controlled by law. The kangaroo's meat is used for food, and their skins for leather. Many small kangaroo species are endangered. The cutting of rainforests removes habitat for tree kangaroos. Cats and foxes brought to Australia by Europeans often kill small kangaroos. Today, some small species live only in protected areas. Many people are working to help endangered kangaroos by protecting their habitat. Cheetahs by Sarah Elby and Kate Delaney. Chapter 1. A Cheetah Story. It was a hot day on a wide open plain in East Africa. Little Cheetah stretched and yawned. She was lying in the shade alongside her mother and brothers, resting during the heat of the day. The cubs were now almost 4 months old. Mama Cheetah had been keeping a watchful eye out while they slept. One of Little Cheetah's brothers flicked his tail as he slept. Little Cheetah watched it for a while before pouncing. Her brother woke up and bopped her with his paw. Soon all the cubs were awake, rolling around and playing. They loved to play. Mama Cheetah stood up and stretched her long, slim legs. She looked around carefully, always alert for lions, hawks, or other predators that might want to harm her little ones. Mama Cheetah walked quietly away in search of food for her family. Suddenly, she made a deep sound that meant, "Stay down, stay put, and be quiet." The cubs had learned that danger was never very far away. Mama Cheetah usually stayed within sight of the cubs when she hunted. Today, however, she was gone for hours. Little Cheetah's tummy felt empty. The cubs had big appetites, and Mama Cheetah had to hunt every day to get them food. The cubs no longer drank her milk, so they needed meat to survive. Mama could go 4 or 5 days without food, but the cubs could not. At last, Mama Cheetah returned, but she had found no food. Everyone went to sleep hungry. When the cubs opened their eyes the next morning, they did not feel like playing. They were very hungry. Mama Cheetah hurried off. She knew she had to find food soon, or the cubs would die. Little Cheetah fell asleep. When she awoke, the sun was high in the sky. Mama Cheetah had returned with food. She let the hungry cubs eat first while she rested from her hunt. Mama Cheetah spent most of her time teaching the cubs how to hunt. She taught them how to move smoothly and noiselessly through the tall grass. She taught them how to stand as still as statues, even on the open plain. The cubs watched Mama Cheetah chase animals and pounce on them. Sometimes they ran with her and helped her hold the prey down until it died. Mama Cheetah often brought a live hare or antelope calf back to the cubs so they could practice hunting. When little Cheetah was about a year old, she and her brothers knew enough about hunting to try it on their own. Sometimes they caught an animal, and sometimes they didn't. If they didn't, Mama always shared her food with them. As time passed, little Cheetah didn't need help hunting. Mama Cheetah had taught her well. Now it was time for little Cheetah to find her own territory and be on her own. Little Cheetah bounded away on her long, strong legs. Soon she would start a family of her own. Chapter 2. The Body of a Cheetah. Spot the differences. At a quick glance, cheetahs, jaguars, and leopards look alike. All 3 of these big cats have dark spots on gold-colored fur. The cheetah has a black line that runs from the inside corner of each eye to the corner of its mouth below. These lines are called tear lines. The spots on cheetahs look like polka dots. The spots on both jaguars and leopards are less regular, forming rosette patterns here and there. The jaguar always has small spots within its rosettes, while the leopard doesn't. The cheetah has a lean, sleek body and long, slim legs. The leopard and jaguar are thicker and sturdier. The cheetah also has an especially long tail, with black rings near the end. Common sense is, the cheetah's sleek body is designed to run very fast for short distances. Long, slender bones and a flexible spine allow the cheetah to take long, rapid strides. Using its powerful hind legs, a cheetah can get going faster than a sports car. A cheetah can cover about 27 feet, 8.2 meters, in a single racing stride. Cheetahs have been known to run up to 70 miles, 113 kilometers per hour, for a distance of about 100 yards, 91 meters. Even a fast racehorse can only run up to 43 miles, 69 kilometers per hour. The cheetah's large lungs, heart, and nostrils allow it to use lots of oxygen, helping it move at high speeds. In addition, the cheetah's small ears cut down on wind resistance, and its long tail helps it stay balanced. The eyes spy. Cheetahs have excellent vision. Because their eyes face forward, cheetahs are very good at judging the distance to their prey. Most of the prey that cheetahs hunt, such as gazelles, antelope, and hares, have eyes on the sides of their heads. Animals with side-facing eyes are able to spot predators creeping up from behind, so cheetahs must choose the moment to attack very carefully. Like all cats, cheetahs have excellent senses of smell and hearing, but they do not depend on them for hunting. Good grips. The cheetah's narrow paws have hard, rigid pads on the bottom, like the soles on sneakers. These pads help the cheetah grip the ground when running. Although a cheetah can pull in its claws, the claws are always exposed. The claws act like spikes on a sprinter's shoes, helping the cheetah get a fast start. The claws continue to grip the ground as the cheetah runs and even help it increase its speed. Chapter 3: The Hunter and the Hunted. The plan of attack. Like all cats, cheetahs are carnivores, which means they are meat eaters. But unlike most of the other big cats, which usually hunt at night, the cheetah hunts alone during the day. Only about half of a cheetah's hunting attempts are successful. The cheetah spends most of the day looking for prey. It will stand motionless for hours in the tall grasses, waiting for prey. Then it will choose one and creep up quietly. When the prey is about 100 feet, 30 meters away, the cheetah will spring forward. The cheetah will knock the animal off balance by whacking its rear. Then the cheetah swiftly clamps its jaw onto the animal's neck, crushing its throat. If the animal escapes, it will take the cheetah another hour or two to recover enough strength for another try. Avoiding danger. Cheetahs are timid animals that try to avoid fights. Their spotted coats act as camouflage, hiding them from predators as well as prey. Crouching in tall grass, a cheetah blends in perfectly with its surroundings. It is able to peer out from its hiding place without risk of being seen by other animals. After a successful hunt, a cheetah eats as soon as it has recovered from the effects of the high-speed chase, but that takes at least 30 minutes. During that time, and even while eating, the cheetah must be on the watch for animals that would steal its prey, especially lions and hyenas. Some animals even follow a stalking cheetah, knowing they can steal its kill without a fight. Cheetahs have only a few ways to defend themselves. Sometimes they pretend to be fierce by hissing and snarling, but a cheetah's best defense is its ability to run away. Chapter 4: Cheetah Living. Lone Rangers. Unlike the members of most other cat families, cheetahs are not very social animals. Female cheetahs almost always live alone, except when raising cubs. A male cheetah, on the other hand, will sometimes form a lifelong bond with 2 or 3 other males, usually his brothers. These small groups are called coalitions. Fewer than half of all male cheetahs are members of coalitions. Coalitions and solitary cheetahs establish their territory by marking the area with urine. But cheetahs don't seem to defend territories. Their territories overlap, and the boundaries tend to change along with the travels of their favorite prey. A female's territory is usually much larger than a male's. Cheetah chat. Cheetahs don't roar. They growl or hiss to scare away other animals. Mother cheetahs make loud yelps to call their young, and then follow up with low-pitched sounds. Members of a coalition contact each other with yipping sounds. All cheetahs purr when they rest and when they clean themselves. Young cheetahs purr while playing. Single moms. When a female cheetah is ready to mate, her urine has a special scent that attracts males. Male cheetahs are usually very peaceful, but they may fight over the right to mate with a female. After mating, the male and female do not form a family. The female gives birth about 3 months later. Cheetah cubs are small and blind at birth. They weigh less than 1 pound, 0.45 kilograms, and their eyes don't open until they are about 10 days old. The mother leaves her babies every day to hunt for food. Cubs are in great danger when they are alone. The mother moves them to a different hiding place every couple of days. Even so, only 1 of every 20 cheetah cubs born in the wild will live to become an adult. Hunters in training. A mother cheetah has many important jobs. One is to keep her cubs alive. Another is to teach them how to hunt so they can keep themselves alive. By the time cubs are 6 weeks old, they follow their mother on hunts. She has them stay out of sight from predators, but in a place where she can keep an eye on them. As babies, the cubs drink only their mother's milk. But when they are around 3 months old, they start to eat meat, which their mother chews up for them. By the time they are 6 months old, the cubs eat only meat. The cubs stay very still and watch their mother stand on mounds of earth and fallen trees to search for prey. They watch how she moves when she stalks prey and how she races after it and bites it. Sometimes she brings back live prey so they can practice hunting. When they are about 1 year old, the cubs go off on their own hunts or hunt as a group. One day, when they are about 16 months old, they don't return. They may stay together as a group for a few more months, and then the females will go off on their own. Chapter 5. Cheetahs in the World. Cheetahs in History. People have been taming cheetahs since ancient times. A Greek vase from around 2500 BC has a picture of a cheetah wearing a collar. Later on, tamed cheetahs were used for hunting in parts of the Middle East, India, Asia, and Africa. There are even reports that King George III of England hunted with cheetahs in the late 18th century. After people captured a cheetah, they tamed it by giving it small amounts of food over a period of time. Eventually, the cheetah came to trust the person who fed it. Owners walked tamed cheetahs with a collar and leash, just like we do with dogs today. Because they almost never mate in captivity and are in danger of extinction, cheetahs are no longer tamed. What happened? Cheetahs have most of the problems other endangered animals do. But cheetahs also have a problem that most other animals do not. A major source of concern to scientists is inbreeding, which means the mating of cheetahs that are too closely related. Scientists believe something occurred about 10,000 years ago that killed a large number of cheetahs. It might have been a dramatic climate change. After this huge reduction in their population, cheetahs had fewer mates to choose from, and they had to mate with relatives. As a result, all cheetahs today are very much alike genetically. Because cheetahs share so many genetic similarities, they are at great risk of being wiped out completely by disease. If a serious disease broke out within another species, it would not necessarily be a danger to every member of the group because they are not so similar genetically. However, a disease that affects one cheetah is likely to affect most cheetahs. Cheetahs in danger. Cheetahs are the most endangered of all the big cat species. They once lived throughout Africa and Asia. However, today most cheetahs live in eastern and southwestern Africa. The largest numbers live in Namibia. There are probably only 12,000 to 14,000 cheetahs in the wild today. As is the case with so many other animals, the destruction of habitat and the actions of humans are the major reasons why cheetahs are endangered. When their habitat is taken away or changed, so are the prey that live there. When there are no prey, then there is no way for the cheetah to survive. When ranchers move into an area, the cheetah is unable to tell the difference between wild prey and farm animals. In order to defend their herds, ranchers believe they have the right to kill cheetahs. Although trading in cheetah fur has long been illegal, poachers know they can find buyers for the beautiful furs. The more endangered the cheetah becomes, the more money poachers can get for the furs. The threats against cheetahs don't paint a rosy picture for their future. We must do all we can to protect the cheetah and its natural habitat.
Extreme Aircraft by Ian F. Mahaney. What are aircraft? Aircraft are machines that fly, like airplanes and helicopters. Airplanes fly by moving fast so air flows over and under the wings. The wings are shaped so that air moves faster over the top of the wings than below the wings. The air pressure above the wings is lower than the air pressure below the wings. This difference in air pressure lifts the wings of an airplane into the air. The shape of the wing is called an airfoil. Aircraft transport passengers and freight. Some aircraft help the military. They carry troops or cargo. Some military aircraft are armed with guns or bombs. Powerful machines. Helicopters have airfoils, but they are shaped differently than an airplane's airfoils. Helicopters have rotors. This is a group of 2 or more airfoils that spin. The shape of the rotor blades allows the helicopter to ascend in the air. Most aircraft are designed to land on the ground. Other aircraft land on water. Still, other aircraft can land in both places. Extreme aircraft are the airplanes and helicopters that do extreme work. The largest of all. Orville and Wilbur Wright flew the world's first airplane in 1903. The plane was called the Wright Flyer, and it weighed 605 pounds, 275 kilograms. The Wright Flyer was 21 feet, 6.4 meters long, and its wingspan measured 40 feet, 12.2 meters. A plane's wingspan is the distance from the tip of one wing to the tip of the other wing. Mighty giant. The Antonov AN-225 has the world record for carrying the heaviest payload. It is also the longest and heaviest airplane ever built. Airplanes can be much bigger today. The biggest plane ever built was made in the Soviet Union. The Antonov AN-225 is a jet built in the 1980s. Its powerful jet engines pull air through the engine to burn fuel. The Antonov AN-225 has 6 engines and is 275 feet, 84 meters long. Its wingspan is 290 feet, 88 meters wide. The Soviet Union built only one Antonov AN-225, and it carries freight. The payload of the Antonov AN-225 is more than 500,000 pounds, 227,000 kilograms. A plane's payload is the amount of weight the airplane can carry in the air. The Antonov AN-225 can carry a space shuttle on its roof. It can also fit train cars or tanks in its cargo hold. Extreme solar-powered flight. Most aircraft burn fuel. This fuel powers the engine so the aircraft can fly. Other airplanes are powered by electricity. Some of these planes carry batteries that power flight. Other planes make electricity on board using solar energy. The solar impulse planes are extreme examples of electrical planes. They rely on solar energy to fly during the day. These planes also store solar energy in batteries so they can fly at night. The solar impulse planes are the first electrical planes that can fly at any time of the day. Lightweight marvel. The Solar Impulse project began in 2003. In 2012, Solar Impulse 1 flew from Spain to Switzerland. Then it flew 19 hours overnight to Morocco. Solar Impulse 1 also flew across the United States. The Solar Impulse 1 is huge, but lightweight. Its wingspan is 208 feet, 63.5 meters, but it weighs 3,520 pounds, 1,600 kilograms. That's about the same as a car. The Solar Impulse 2 is slightly larger. Its wingspan is 236 feet, 72 meters, but it only holds one pilot. The Solar Impulse project team is trying to make Solar Impulse 2 the first electric plane to fly around the world. Extreme airliners, Airbus A380. Today's passenger airplanes are huge. The biggest passenger airplane in the world is the Airbus A380. The wingspan is 262 feet, 80 meters, and it is 239 feet, 73 meters long. The A380 is a double-decker plane that normally seats 525 passengers. The Airbus A380 can carry more than 800 passengers if the arrangement of seats is changed. Most of these planes have showers and lounges for some of the passengers. Cruising in style. Huge passenger planes like the A380 can fly long distances. They can cross continents and take passengers over oceans. The A380 can fly 9,700 miles, 15,600 kilometers, without refueling, and its cruising speed is 560 miles, 900 kilometers per hour. A plane's cruising speed is a speed that is fast, but also burns fuel efficiently. Boeing 777s. Boeing makes several aircraft with the model numbers 777 and 777X. They have a nickname, the 777s. These passenger aircraft can fly the furthest in the world. One of Boeing's passenger models, 777-200LR, can fly more than 10,000 miles, 16,100 kilometers, without refueling. This distance is called the plane's range. The 777-200LR also carries about 300 passengers. The 777-200ER can carry between 300 and 400 passengers. The 777-200ER, like other 777s and big airplanes, is known as a wide-bodied aircraft. This means the passenger plane has two aisles that divide the seats. A narrow-bodied aircraft has one aisle and carries fewer passengers. Flying far. Boeing's 777-8X can carry 350 passengers on a trip almost as far as a 777-200LR. The 777-8X, like the 777-9X, offers improved fuel efficiency too. Boeing also makes 777 freighters. These aircraft have two decks for cargo. Instead of carrying passengers on the main deck, Boeing uses the main deck for freight. All 777s and 777Xs also have space on the lower deck for cargo. The total payload for 777 freighters is 224,000 pounds, 102,000 kilograms. Extreme jobs. Fighting forest fires. Forest fires burn millions of acres of trees and brush in the United States every year. These fires also threaten houses and other buildings. Aircraft help the U.S. Forest Service and its firefighters battle these fires. The Forest Service uses helicopters to transport firefighters and cargo so the firefighters can fight fires. Helicopters can also drop water or fire retardant on blazes. Fire retardants are chemicals that stop or slow a spreading fire. One of the largest firefighting helicopters is the Boeing 234 Chinook helicopter. The U.S. Army first used Chinook helicopters to transport troops and cargo. The civilian version of the Chinook can drop 3,000 gallons, 11,350 liters of water or fire retardant to help fight a fire. Firefighting jets. The Forest Service and other firefighting agencies also use planes for much of their firefighting strategy. Jumbo jets are wide-bodied aircraft that were originally made to carry passengers and freight. Jumbo jets like the McDonnell Douglas DC-10 can also fight fires. This passenger plane was modified to carry 12,000 gallons, 45,425 liters of water or fire retardant in a tank. The jet then drops the water or fire retardant on the fire, across water and land. Amphibious aircraft help in search and rescue operations. Amphibious airplanes help fight forest fires too. The Bombardier 415 can fly over the surface of a lake, scoop 1,600 gallons, 6,000 liters of water into a tank, and drop the water on a fire. The 415 can then release its wheels and land on the ground. Multitasking seaplanes. All planes and helicopters have landing gear. This allows them to return safely to Earth. Most planes have wheels so they can land on the ground. Seaplanes have landing gear that allows them to land on and take off from water. There are two types of seaplanes. Float planes have pontoons instead of wheels. Flying boats have hulls that float. Both types of seaplanes can be amphibious. This means they can land on ground and in water. Amphibious planes have wheels for landing on hard surfaces like airport runways. The wheels retract when the plane is on water. Military superflyers. The Globemaster. Military forces around the world use aircraft to protect the skies around their countries. Some aircraft gather intelligence, and other aircraft carry guns or bombs. Still, other military aircraft transport cargo and troops. The United States uses a plane, the Boeing C-17 Globemaster III, to transport troops and cargo around the world. The Globemaster's payload is 164,000 pounds, 74,500 kilograms. It can carry an M1 tank or 2 rows of Army trucks. The Globemaster has 54 permanent seats for passengers. It can also seat 128 more passengers instead of cargo. 2 pilots control the plane, and 2 passengers can fly in the cockpit. Mid-air fill. The Globemaster can fly 2,400 nautical miles without refueling. A nautical mile is a unit of measure used for sea and air travel. A nautical mile equals 1.15 miles, 1.85 kilometers, and is used to take into account the Earth's shape. The Globemaster can refuel in the air. The Air Force KC-135 Stratotanker refuels planes in mid-air. The Globemaster flies under and slightly behind the KC-135. An operator on the stratotanker then maneuvers a boom into the Globemaster's fuel tank. A boom includes the tanker's hose and nozzle. Fuel is then pumped from the KC-135 through the boom to the Globemaster. Invisible fighters. Radar is a system that helps users find objects that they cannot see. To determine what objects are nearby, a radar operator sends a signal from a radar transmitter. When the signal reaches an object, it bounces back to the transmitter. The radar operator can figure out the size, speed, and direction of the object. Military forces around the world use radar to find out where aircraft are located. Most planes try to hide from enemy's radar. Beginning in the 1950s, the United States U-2 spy planes flew at high altitudes to hide from radar. These planes could fly 70,000 feet, 21,300 meters in the air. This is twice the height of commercial airliners. Extreme speed. During the 1970s, the U.S. Armed Forces began developing planes that could hide from radar. These planes are called stealth aircraft. Stealth aircraft try to move in secret, so enemy radar can't see them. The Armed Forces worked with plane manufacturer Lockheed Martin on the F-35 Lightning II in the 1990s. The F-35 is a stealth aircraft that hides from radar and can fly at 1,200 miles, 1,900 kilometers per hour. Stealth bombers. Toward the end of World War II, German armed forces finished building the first stealth aircraft. It never entered combat. The aircraft was covered in charcoal dust and wood glue. The Germans thought these materials would absorb the signals from enemy radar. Planes are normally made of metal, and radar can see metal objects very well. The German scientists thought that by coating metal in other substances, they could hide their aircraft from radar. The U.S. military and its contractors used similar technologies when developing stealth aircraft. The Northrop Grumman B-2 Spirit stealth bomber is made from graphite. Graphite is a material that absorbs radar. The B-2 Spirit is flatter than other aircraft. Radar operators have trouble seeing the plane because signals bounce off the plane rather than returning to the transmitter. Mighty and dangerous. The B-2 Spirit has a payload of 40,000 pounds, 18,000 kilograms. That's enough to carry a nuclear warhead. The plane can also climb to 50,000 feet, 15,200 meters in the air. It can fly 6,000 miles, 9,700 kilometers, without refueling. When it needs fuel, a KC-135 Stratotanker can deliver fuel to the B-2 Spirit. Then the bomber can fly another 4,000 miles, 6,400 kilometers, before it needs more fuel. The world's fastest flyer. In 1960, the Soviet Union shot down a United States U-2 spy plane. The U-2 aircraft was flying at 70,000 feet, 21,300 meters. The U-2 incident made the Air Force use spy planes that could fly even higher. The Blackbird SR-71 could fly at 85,000 feet, 25,900 meters, and is also the fastest manned air-breathing aircraft ever made. An air-breathing aircraft has an engine that burns fuel by combining the fuel with oxygen from the air. The Blackbird SR-71 could fly faster than the speed of sound. Just like an aircraft or a bird, it takes time for sound to travel through the air. The speed of sound is Mach 1, or about 760 miles, 1,225 kilometers per hour at sea level. The speed of sound slows at higher altitudes. Jets that fly faster than Mach 1 are called supersonic. Retired with honor. Blackbird SR-71s were made of titanium. Titanium is a strong metal that can withstand high heat. Blackbird's engines could get as hot as 800 degrees Fahrenheit, 427 degrees Celsius. Blackbird SR-71s were also stealth aircraft. They were covered in iron paint because that helps absorb radar. After 26 years of service, the Air Force retired the Blackbird SR-71 planes in 1990. Extreme powered lift. Helicopters can hover. This means they can stay suspended in midair. They move only slightly back and forth or up and down. Most airplanes can't hover. Airplanes need to move fast to stay in the air. Helicopters can land in a smaller space than airplanes, but airplanes are much faster than helicopters. Troops on airplanes can travel quickly to missions, but troops on helicopters can land in places that airplanes can't land. The U.S. Department of Defense worked with two companies, Boeing and Bell Helicopters, to develop an extreme aircraft. The Osprey V-22 can lift from the ground like a helicopter, then fly like an airplane. The Osprey is a tilt-rotor aircraft. This means its rotors can sit upright on its wings to ascend like a helicopter. The rotors can also rotate to act as airplane propellers. Troop carriers. Osprey V-22s go on many missions. The aircraft can make vertical takeoffs and landings, VTOL. They can also make short takeoffs and landings, STOL. Ospreys can carry 24 troops for 390 miles, 630 kilometers. They can also carry up to 20,000 pounds, 9,100 kilograms of cargo. Spaceplanes. Rockets are different from jets. Rockets store oxygen and do not require outside oxygen like the Blackbird SR-71 does. Rockets are faster than jets. Rockets propelled the U.S. space shuttles into space at more than 17,000 miles, 27,350 kilometers per hour. This is called hypersonic speed. It is more than 5 times the speed of sound. Space shuttles and their rockets took astronauts into space for research. In 1990, the Space Shuttle Discovery launched the Hubble telescope into orbit. The Hubble telescope takes pictures of outer space. Many governments worldwide plan to make spaceplanes. Private companies want to take tourists into space too. It will take extreme aircraft to get there. Spaceplanes of the future may be similar to the U.S. space shuttles. Rockets may need to power the spaceplanes. Into the future. Extreme aircraft have helped humans fly to amazing parts of the world and accomplish incredible things. In the future, extreme aircraft may take people to outer space. Those extreme aircraft may be rockets. They may also be jets that take off from a runway on Earth, fly into space, and return to the same runway.
Extreme Off-Road Vehicles by Ian F. Mahaney. What are off-road vehicles? Cars, trucks, and motorcycles that can travel on many surfaces are called off-road vehicles. Like regular vehicles, many off-road vehicles can drive on smooth paved surfaces, like streets and highways. Off-road vehicles, though, can go where passenger cars can't go. Off-road vehicles are made to drive on natural surfaces, like dirt, mud, sand, and snow. These cars, trucks, motorcycles, and other vehicles have mighty engines that power the vehicles through mud or over rocks. Some off-road vehicles have huge tires that grip uneven surfaces. Other off-road vehicles have deep treads in their tires that allow the vehicles to grab hold of tough terrain. The treads also clear water, sand, and mud from the tires. Many off-road vehicles have caterpillar tracks. Caterpillar tracks are long metal and rubber treads that grip natural surfaces and allow the vehicles to stay on top of mud, dirt, and snow. This keeps these vehicles moving. Powerful machines. Extreme off-road vehicles are powerful vehicles that can handle the toughest conditions and do lots of hard work. They include tanks and bulldozers, snowcats, and dune buggies. Some off-road vehicles take people on safaris. Other extreme off-road vehicles can even drive on land, then into the water. The best of the best. People often compete in races. They run races on foot. They race on ice skates and bikes. People race cars and other motorized vehicles. People also race off-road vehicles. Formula Off-Road is extreme off-road racing that is popular in Nordic countries like Iceland and Norway. In Formula Off-Road, drivers race trucks up steep hills. Many of these trucks have huge paddle tires that are good for digging in dirt and getting a grip on loose surfaces. These vehicles must be powerful and sturdy. They climb such steep hills that the trucks sometimes flip over and slide down the hills. Dakar Rally. Another extreme off-road race is the Dakar Rally. The Dakar Rally is a race that lasts about 2 weeks and has many stages. A stage at Dakar is a one-day race that can be as long as 600 miles, 970 kilometers. Originally, the Dakar Rally was a race from Paris, France to Dakar, Senegal. Since 2009, the Dakar Rally has been held in South America. Drivers compete to win in 4 categories. The categories are cars, trucks, motorcycles, and quads. Quads are also called all-terrain vehicles. They are small off-road vehicles that hold a driver and up to 3 passengers. Hard-working machines. Haul trucks. Mining is a business where companies and workers dig in the earth to find valuable resources, like coal and gold. Companies and workers use machines to dig for these materials. The machines also dig up a lot of dirt and rock. Haul trucks are huge off-road vehicles that remove this waste. Some haul trucks are so big that the drivers use a ladder to climb into the cab. True giants. The Caterpillar 797F is one of the biggest and most powerful haul trucks on Earth. It is more than 25 feet, 7.6 meters tall, almost 50 feet, 15 meters long, and its ground clearance is more than 2.5 feet, 0.8 meter. Ground clearance is important for off-road vehicles. The ground clearance is the distance between the ground and the underside of the vehicle. When an off-road vehicle has a large clearance, it can keep away from damaging rocks on the ground. The Belaz 75710 is an even larger haul truck. It has 8 tires, each more than 13 feet, 4 meters tall. That's about as tall as the world's tallest elephants. The Belaz 75710 also has a payload of 495 tons, 450 metric tons. A truck's payload is the amount of weight it can carry. The Belaz 75710 could carry 40 big elephants. Logging trucks. Tractor-trailers are powerful trucks used to haul freight on highways. These trucks have 2 parts. The tractor is an engine, and cab where the driver sits. The trailer is a long box that holds cargo. Logging trucks are special tractor-trailers with pole trailers. The pole trailers are filled with logs. Instead of having walls like the boxes of normal trailers, pole trailers hold their cargo using metal stakes. Some logging trucks are tough off-road trucks. Off-road logging trucks carry trees out of the woods. They haul their loads through dirt and mud and over rocks. Self-loading trucks. Truck companies can customize trucks when customers order them. Some logging trucks are customized to be self-loaders. Self-loaders are trucks that have their own cranes. The Western Star 4900 is an example of an off-road pole trailer that has a self-loading crane. The 4900 can drive into the woods and load logs itself. Then the logging truck hauls the load through the mud and out of the woods. Tracked power machines. Caterpillar tracks are also called continuous tracks. Off-road vehicles with tracks have many military and civilian uses. Tracked vehicles push snow around at ski resorts. Other tracked vehicles move dirt and mud for construction projects. Snowmobiles are small off-road vehicles powered by continuous tracks. Some companies make continuous tracked cars. Other companies and mechanics modify cars, trucks, and vans so the vehicles can travel in deep snow. In warmer places, companies build continuous tracked vehicles to take tourists into swamps and marshes. These vehicles can cross rivers and climb over rocks and small hills. Continuous tracked vehicles also help in relief efforts after tidal waves, floods, and earthquakes. Tracked vehicles like bulldozers are useful for cleaning up debris. The biggest of all. One of the biggest tracked vehicles ever made moved the United States space shuttles on a gravel track. The Crawler transporter carried shuttles from their hangar to the launch pad at Kennedy Space Center. The Kennedy Space Center is in Cape Canaveral, Florida. The Crawler transporter has 8 tracks, weighs 5.5 million pounds, 2.5 million kilograms, and can space shuttle with rocket boosters weighing 4.5 million pounds, 2 million kilograms. Mighty tractors. Tractors are farm machines that help farmers work. Most tractors have two small wheels in the front of the vehicle and two big wheels in the back. The big wheels have deep grooved tires that help the tractor move through mud, sand, and dirt while towing another heavy machine. Tractors move slowly when they tow heavy equipment like plows or combines. Tractors can drive through mud and dirt and haul their loads through these off-road conditions. They can also turn quickly because they have two brake pedals. Each brake controls one back wheel. The driver can stop one wheel while letting the other wheel roll and turn. Montana Giant. Tractors can be small or very large. The biggest tractor ever made is called Big Bud, 16V 747. Big Bud was made in Montana in 1977 and produced 760 horsepower. Horsepower is a unit of measure that tells you the amount of work an engine can do. Originally, 1 horsepower meant an engine could do the work of 1 horse. Since 1977, Big Bud has been modified so that it can produce even more horsepower. Big Bud is much bigger than a normal tractor. It is 14 feet, 4.3 meters tall, and has 8 giant wheels. Across water and sand. Amphibious vehicles. An amphibian is an animal that lives part of its life on land and part of its life in water. Amphibious vehicles are off-road vehicles that can travel on land and also in water. They can drive on a highway, cross a sandy beach, and splash into a lake or ocean. The United States Navy and Marines began testing amphibious vehicles in the 1930s. By 1941, when the United States entered World War II, the Navy and Marines were using the DUKW. This amphibious vehicle could sail like a ship on the ocean, climb over coral reefs, and drive onto the beach. Once on the beach, the DUKW could drive on the rest of an island. The Marines continue to use amphibious vehicles today. Extreme joyrides. There are amphibious vehicles for civilians, too. One of the first amphibious cars was called the Amphicar. They were made in the 1960s and could drive 70 miles, 113 kilometers per hour on the highway. Once the Amphicar entered the water, 2 propellers powered the car, and it could travel at 9 miles, 14.5 kilometers per hour. Amphicars have crossed the English Channel and traveled off the California coast from San Diego to Catalina Island. Amphibious cars are much faster today. The water car Python is an amphibious car with a Corvette engine and can speed more than 57 miles, 92 kilometers per hour in the water. Off-road sand rails. Many off-road vehicles can drive in sand. All-terrain vehicles and trucks with big treaded tires drive on the beach. These vehicles can drive faster when the sand is harder and packed down with water. Dune buggies are off-road vehicles that are made for driving on sand. Dune buggies have no windows. Sometimes they have a roof, but other dune buggies have roll bars. A roll bar is a support above the driver and passengers that protects people if their dune buggy rolls over. Some dune buggies are for work. Others are for fun. Sand rails are lightweight dune buggies that are made for fun. They are off-road vehicles with large rear tires. These tires power the sand rail so it can drive fast in sand dunes and other areas of open sand. Made to fit. People often buy kits or plans to make their open sand vehicles. There are even books that teach people how to build their own sand rails. Sand rails can fit a driver and 1 or more passengers. A sand rail's speed is limited by dune speed limits. The speed limit is often 55 miles, 89 kilometers per hour. Military super machines. U.S. military classic, the Jeep. The U.S. Army used the first Jeeps in World War II. The Army needed these lightweight off-road vehicles to transport troops near battlefields and to watch enemy movements. The first Jeeps could hold a driver and 3 passengers. Jeeps have grooved tires, powerful engines, and 4-wheel drive. 4-wheel drive cars and trucks have engines that power all 4 wheels of the vehicle. 4-wheel drive vehicles are also called 4x4s. In most cars and trucks, the engine only powers 1 or 2 of the wheels. The Army also used Jeeps to move small amounts of cargo and to scout routes that heavier trucks and tanks would drive. 2 American automobile companies, Willys and Ford, made more than 600,000 Jeeps for the United States during the war. The Jeeps weighed 2,450 pounds, 1,110 kilograms each, and were fast. They could shuttle troops away from the enemy at up to 65 miles, 105 kilometers per hour. Some Jeeps even had guns mounted on their hoods, all-powerful tanks. Tanks are large fighting machines that countries around the world use in battle. They are heavily armored vehicles that move on continuous tracks and have large guns or cannons on their roofs. The British made the first tank in 1915. It was called Little Willie. It weighed 14 tons, 13 metric tons, and moved slowly. In 1916, the first tank entered the battlefield for the British during World War I. The tank was named Big Willie, and it was designed to cross large trenches. Tanks were important weapons in World War II. Many nations, such as the United States, the Soviet Union, and Germany, used tanks because they had heavy armor and could drive off-road. Mighty Abrams. Today's tanks are fast and powerful weapons. The United States M1 Abrams tanks are extreme modern tanks. They are made of steel and other materials to protect them from enemy fire. Abrams tanks are 32 feet, 9.75 meters long, and weigh 63 tons, 57 metric tons, when filled with 4 crew members, fuel, and ammunition. Abrams tanks can speed along at 42 miles, 68 kilometers per hour, and their ground clearance is 19 inches, 48 centimeters. Abrams tanks can cross streams, drive through a desert, and handle other off-road terrain. Armored bulldozers. Bulldozers are powerful tractors with wide metal blades that are used for pushing dirt and rocks. Bulldozers have tracks for working in off-road environments, like mines and on construction sites. Military forces around the world use bulldozers too. In battle zones, these bulldozers are modified and fitted with armor. Allies like Great Britain and the United States used armored bulldozers in World War II. During the Battle of Normandy in 1944, the Allies used Caterpillar D7 armored bulldozers to move obstacles on the beaches and push sand into anti-tank ditches so their tanks could cross the beaches and drive into mainland Europe. Armored bulldozers can also move sand to build barriers and rescue damaged fighting vehicles. Armored and powerful. The Allies also used tank dozers in World War II. Tank dozers are tanks with bulldozer blades attached to the front. The British used their Centaur tanks with bulldozer blades to clear debris. The United States also used M4 Sherman tanks with bulldozer blades. Armed forces around the world still use armored bulldozers today. Israel uses armored Caterpillar D9 bulldozers to clear mines and other obstacles while under fire. The United States used the same D9 armored bulldozers during the Iraq War, known as Operation Iraqi Freedom. Off-road marvel. The Humvee. The U.S. Armed Forces use Humvees to transport cargo or small numbers of troops. The armed forces collaborated with auto manufacturer AM General to make Humvees. These 4-wheel drive trucks first entered service for the U.S. military in 1985. Humvees can be armored and have bulletproof windows. Humvees can carry machine guns or missile launchers. They can also be modified and turned into ambulances. Humvees can rush injured troops to the hospital at 70 miles, 113 kilometers per hour. They are also awesome off-road vehicles. Humvees can drive off-road in desert conditions, through the jungle, or in snow. Humvees have 16 inches, 41 centimeters of ground clearance, and can cross water up to 2.5 feet, 0.8 meters deep. Humvees can also climb steep hills and carry a payload of 5,100 pounds, 2,300 kilograms, fast-moving HMMWV. Since Humvees are quick, they are used to explore areas. They can also be fitted with communications equipment so they can speak with troops in other vehicles. Humvee is a nickname for these extreme off-road vehicles. The Humvee's official name is High Mobility Multi-Purpose Wheeled Vehicle. Its initials are HMMWV. The letters in Humvee and HMMWV are similar. Off-road, off-land hovercrafts. Hovercrafts are incredible off-road vehicles that float above flat surfaces like swamps, dirt, and snow. Hovercrafts float above flat surfaces by creating cushions of air between the vehicle and the surface below. Because of the cushion, hovercrafts are also called ACVs, or air-cushioned vehicles. Hovercrafts create the air cushion by changing the air pressure beneath the vehicle. The air pressure beneath the vehicle is higher than the air pressure above the vehicle. This lifts hovercrafts in the air. It is similar to how airplanes create lift and fly in the air. Hovercrafts are used by civilians for recreation. They are also used by governments around the world for military purposes and in search and rescue operations. The U.S. Navy and Marines use hovercrafts to deliver troops and vehicles to shore. Russian giants. The biggest hovercrafts are Ukrainian military hovercrafts known as Zubr hovercrafts. The Zubr hovercrafts are 187 feet, 57 meters long, and weigh 550 tons, 500 metric tons. They can carry 3 main battle tanks, or 10 armored vehicles with 140 troops.
Let's Go Fishing by Suzanne Slade. The sport of fishing. People have enjoyed the sport of fishing for thousands of years. The first anglers, or fishermen, fished for food. Today, most people go fishing for fun, although some still catch fish to eat. Many enjoy the challenges they must face to find, attract, and catch fish. Fishing is a great way to get outside and enjoy nature. Many people like to spend time fishing on a quiet lake with friends. Fishing is a sport for everyone. People of any age, size, and skill can give fishing a try. You don't need a lot of fancy gear to fish. If you have a simple pole, a worm from your yard, and a nearby river or pond, then you're ready to go fishing. Where to fish? A good day of fishing starts with a plan. First, you need to choose a place to fish. Most creeks, rivers, lakes, and ponds make good fishing holes. Just be sure to obey any posted no fishing signs. Once you arrive at your fishing location, watch for clues to help you find where fish might be hiding. Some fish like to swim near weed beds or reeds. Others can be found in areas of swirling water called eddies. Fish often stay in shaded water below a tree, pier, or docked boat. If you see tiny air bubbles floating on the water's surface, fish may be eating below. When fishing in a river, look for fish near fast-moving water, such as below a dam or waterfall. Fishing gear. It's helpful to have the right gear and supplies when you go fishing. A fishing trip can last for hours, so take plenty of food and drinks. Wear a hat and sunscreen to keep from getting burned. Sunglasses will protect your eyes and help you find fish in the bright sun. Pack a life jacket that is comfortable and fits properly. A fishing rod or pole is the basic fishing tool you need. Connected to your pole is a reel. A reel is a device that holds a spool of fishing line. Tie a hook on the end of your line and add a metal sinker above it. The weight of the sinker will cause your hook and bait to sink in the water. Put a float on your line about 1 to 2 feet, 0.3 to 0.6 meters above your hook, to keep your bait from sitting on the bottom of the water. Take a tackle box with extra supplies in case your line breaks, a fish steals a hook, or your float drifts away.
Bring a sturdy net to land your fish and something to hold your catch. Some people put fish in a wire fishing basket, which they tie to a pier or boat. You can also string your fish on a rope. A large bucket works well too. Some fishermen have a ruler to measure their fish and a special scale from a tackle store to weigh a prized catch. Bait. A fisherman uses bait to attract and catch fish. Different kinds of fish like different bait. Whatever bait you use, make sure you put it back on the hook far enough for the sharp end to be visible. You can use bait you find at home, such as corn, cooked pasta, cheese cubes, bread balls, bologna bits, and jelly beans. Earthworms from your yard also make great bait. A tackle shop sells many kinds of bait, such as red worms, night crawlers, waxworms, and maggots. If you are fishing for large fish, you could purchase tiny fish called minnows. Some people use fake fish called lures. Some lures can be tied directly on your line, while others require special gear on your fishing line. Casting a line. Casting is the skill of throwing your hook and bait out into the water. There are several kinds of casts, such as underarm casts, beach casts, and overhead casts. Many anglers use an overhead cast, but make sure the area is clear of wires, trees, and people before you try it. To begin, hold your rod over your shoulder at an angle so the hook hangs behind you. Then open the bail arm on your reel and press the line coming out of the bail against your rod with a finger. Now quickly push the top end of your rod forward. Take your finger off the line as soon as your rod is pointing toward the water. You will learn the proper timing to cast far with practice. Freshwater fishing. There are many places you can go freshwater fishing. Lakes, rivers, ponds, and small streams are filled with all kinds of delicious freshwater fish. You can fish from the shore, stand in shallow water, or fish off a boat. Some lakes permit only catch and release fishing. Catch and release means you put your fish back into the water right after you catch it. This type of fishing protects lakes from running out of fish, but still lets anglers enjoy the sport of fishing. It is easier to remove the hook without hurting the fish if you use a barbless hook. This hook does not have a barb or sharp point located near the end of the hook. Fishing in the ocean. Many people enjoy the excitement and challenges of ocean fishing. Whether you go deep-sea fishing on a boat or fish from the beach, you can land some beautiful fish from salt water. Most fish in the ocean live in deep water. If you are fishing on the beach, you must cast your line far from the shore. You will know a fish is on the line when your float jerks below the water's surface. When a fish bites, pull your pole quickly to set the hook. Keep your fishing line tight as you reel in your catch. When the fish arrives at the edge of the water, wait for the next wave to wash it up on the beach. Fly fishing. Fly fishing is a special type of fishing that's full of action. Fly fishers use a fly made of feathers, hair, and thread for bait. Fish cannot see the hook inside this human-made fly. Rivers, creeks, streams, ponds, and lakes are great places to fly fish. To begin, you need a special fly rod and reel, a fly line, a leader, and a fly. Learning to cast your fly requires wide open space and a little patience. An experienced fly fisher can cast a line to an exact location. The fly will appear to dance and move on the surface of the water, making it look like a tasty insect. With some luck, a hungry fish will strike or bite the fly. Ice fishing. Some people fish through a hole on a frozen lake. This is called ice fishing. You can ice fish when it has been very cold for long periods of time. Ice must be at least 4 inches, 10 centimeters thick before it is safe to walk and fish on. You can use a spud to cut holes in ice. A spud is a metal bar with a blade at one end. A hole larger than 8 inches, 20 centimeters, is a good size for ice fishing. An ice fishing rod is shorter than a regular pole. The short length allows you to sit close to your hole and watch for fish on the line. Ice fishing lets people enjoy the sport of fishing all year long. Kinds of fish. There are many types of fish you can catch for sport or food. People often eat freshwater fish such as perch, bluegill, bass, trout, and salmon. Perch are round and narrow. They often swim in groups and like shady areas. Bluegills are wider and more colorful. You may spot them in shallow water. Perch and bluegill are easily caught with earthworms. Bass are a large brownish fish that prefer deeper water. An artificial worm or lure attracts bass. Fishermen find trout and salmon in rivers. The vast ocean holds many unusual fish. In the southeast, grouper is popular. Flounder and sole live on the east and west coasts. These fish swim near the sea floor, so your bait must be placed low to catch them. Fishing and nature. Fish are a source of food and sport for people all over the world. In certain areas, pollution causes some fish to be unsafe to eat and others to die. Conservationists work to teach people how to keep lakes and rivers clean. As overfishing and pollution reduce the fish population, workers may stock some lakes with more fish. Special fish farms called fisheries have large tanks for raising fish. This is one way to provide people with clean fish to eat. In a fishery, people can carefully control the water quality along with the food that the fish. By working with nature, we can help keep the fish population safe and plentiful. Let's go fishing. Fishing is a great sport that helps you enjoy nature. Anyone can fish with a simple pole and hook. To learn more about the sport, you can practice a new skill or try new gear. Some people like to test their skills in a fishing tournament. Some tournaments last a few hours, and others last for days. Everyone in a fishing contest must catch the same type of fish. The person who catches the largest fish wins a prize, such as money, fishing gear, or a new boat. Winning prizes is fun, but any fisherman will tell you the best prize of all is the thrill of reeling in your own fish. So what are you waiting for? Grab your pole and let's go fishing.
Experiments About Planet Earth by Zella Williams. One Great Big Neighborhood. What do you have in common with everyone else in the world? We all live on the planet Earth. There is so much to learn about Earth. It is hard to know where to begin. The first step is to look around. What do you see? What do you want to know about what you see? Scientists ask questions too. They find the answers to their questions by doing experiments. Let's do some experiments that will help us learn about Earth. Mapping our solar system. Everything in our solar system orbits or moves around the sun. The sun is a star that is very close to Earth. We get heat, light, and energy from the sun. The planets that orbit the sun include Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Let's make a map of our solar system. Let's do it. 1. Find some open space, about 30 yards, 27 meters long. Playgrounds and parks are good places. Walk to one end and put down the basketball. The basketball stands for the sun. Each object you use stands for a planet. The size difference between the objects gives you an idea of the different size of the planets. 2. Starting at the basketball, take one step and put down a P for Mercury. Take another step and put down a marble for Venus. Take a half step from Venus and put down the other marble for Earth, where we live. Each step you take stands for about 36 million miles. 58 million kilometers in our solar system. 3. From Earth, take 1.5 steps and put down a P for Mars. Now take 9 steps and put down the grapefruit for Jupiter. Go 11 steps and set down the apple for Saturn. 4. Walk 24 steps and put down a plum for Uranus. Take 27 more steps and put down the other plum for Neptune. For a long time, scientists also included Pluto on the list of planets. Pluto is now thought of as a dwarf planet. Step back and take a look. You have mapped the planets in our solar system. The parts of Earth. Earth has 3 main layers, or thicknesses. In the center of our planet is the core, or the first layer. The core is a ball of iron. The layer around the core is the mantle. The top layer of Earth is the crust, where we live. Follow these steps to learn more about Earth's layers. Let's do it. 1. Carefully break the shell of a hard-boiled egg, but do not remove the shell. Have an adult help you cut the egg in half along the long side. 2. Look at the yellow yolk of the egg. The size and shape stand for Earth's iron core. The core is about 2,000 miles, 3,219 kilometers thick. 3. Look at the white part of the egg. It goes around the yolk in the same way that the mantle goes around Earth's core. However, Earth's mantle is molten, or made of melted rock. The mantle is 1,800 miles, 2,897 kilometers thick. 4. The The egg shell is like Earth's crust. The crust is only 3 to 43 miles, 5 to 69 kilometers thick. This layer of rock slides on top of the mantle. The bumps on the eggshell are like the mountains on Earth, moving plates. We live on the outer layer of Earth called the crust. The crust is broken into many pieces of rock called plates. Earth's plates float on top of the mantle. They slide around very slowly on top of the molten rock. You can learn why the plates move slowly on the mantle by doing this experiment. Let's do it. 1. Mix the cornstarch and the water in the bowl. When you mix 2 or more things together like this, it is called a mixture. It should be a little hard to mix, but should not be dry. 2. Slowly stick your fingers in the bowl. What happens? Your fingers should sink in without any problem. 3. Pull your fingers out and let the mixture settle until the surface is flat again. Now take your hand and slap the surface of the mixture quickly. What happens? This time your hand should not go in the mixture because you moved quickly. 4. This mixture acts like Earth's mantle. If you try to move it quickly, it is hard. If you move it slowly, the mixture flows smoothly. The plates riding on Earth's mantle must move slowly for the same reason. If they tried to move quickly, the mantle would be too hard. Day and night. Everything in our solar system is continuously moving. Earth's movements explain why the sun appears to move across the sky. They also explain why the moon seems to change shape and why we have days and nights. Follow these steps to see why we have day and night. Let's do it. 1. Shape the clay into a round ball to stand for Earth. Push the pencil through the middle of the ball so that it sticks out on both ends. The pencil stands for Earth's axis. Stick one end of the toothpick into the ball of clay to mark where you live. 2. Have a friend stand in the middle of the room holding a flashlight. Turn the flashlight on and shine it directly ahead. The flashlight stands for light from the sun. Hold the ends of the pencil so that the clay earth is in the light from the flashlight. 3. One side of the clay earth is lit by the flashlight sun, making it daytime. The other side is dark, or nighttime. Is it daytime or nighttime where the toothpick is? 4. Slowly spin the pencil in your hand to move the toothpick through a day and a night. Watch the shadows made by the toothpick as it moves in and out of the flashlight's light. We see shadows like those on sunny days on Earth, making waves. Oceans cover nearly 3/4 of Earth's surface. They are an important part of what makes our planet different from others. Earth's oceans are always on the move. Water flows beneath the surface. On the surface, wind makes waves. You can see how waves work with this experiment. Let's do it. 1. Fill a bathtub or sink with water. Then turn off the water and wait for it to settle. Softly place the bottle cap on top of the water in the middle of the bathtub or sink. 2. Near one end of the tub or sink, use a spoon to slap the surface of the water. Watch the bottle cap. Which way does it move? Does it move up and down? Does it move from side to side? Do not make too many waves or you will not see them well. 3. Remove the bottle cap from the tub or sink and wait for the water to settle. When there are no more waves, place the bottle cap in the water next to the side of the tub or sink. 4. Slap the surface of the water again to make waves. What happens to the bottle cap this time? As the waves near the edge of the tub or sink, they get broken up, just like waves hitting a dock or steep shoreline. How tides work. The level of the ocean water rises and falls on the beach each day. We call these changes in water level tides. Tides are caused by the moon, which pulls on Earth. When the moon is closest to one side of Earth, it pulls the water toward it and causes a high tide. Follow these steps to study the tides. Let's do it. 1. Fill the zip seal bag about 3/4 full of vegetable shortening. The shortening is going to stand for the water in the ocean. 2. Place the orange in the bag. Move it around so it is covered in shortening. Seal the bag closed. The orange stands for Earth. 3. Set the orange on the rim of a cup and pretend you are the moon. Which direction would the water in Earth's oceans be pulled? 4. Shape the bag so that the water is pulled toward you, the moon. You should have a bump of vegetable shortening closest to you. Earth stays the same shape. If you change position, what happens to the water? Compost it. We need to take care of Earth. One way we can do this is by recycling. Part of our trash is made up of organic things, or things made from plants and animals. We can recycle this trash by composting. Composting turns organic trash into food for plants. You can start a compost pile in your own backyard. Let's do it. 1. Find a place in your backyard where an adult says it is okay to start a compost pile. Put one rock on each corner of the space where the compost pile will be. The rocks will help you keep the pile the right size. 2. Sort the organic trash from the rest of your trash. Make a layer of trash on the ground between the rocks. The layer should be no higher than 4 inches, 10 centimeters. 3. Cover the layer with a shovel full of soil and spray with some water to make it wet. The soil and the water help bacteria and worms to break down the trash. 4. Every day, add your organic trash to the pile and make a layer of soil and water. Use a shovel to turn the pile every 2 weeks. After 3 to 6 months, you should have fertilizer that can be used on plants in your yard. Fertilizer is food for plants. Dirty air. Earth's atmosphere is made up of layers of air and gas around the planet. The air is important to people and animals because we breathe it to live. Sometimes, though, the air becomes polluted or dirty. Chemicals, dust, and smoke all pollute the air. You can do this easy experiment to see air pollution. Let's do it. 1. Use the knife to spread some petroleum jelly on 2 3 by 5 inch 8 by 13 centimeter paper cards. The jelly does not need to be thick, but it should cover the whole card. 2. Place one of the cards under your bed or on a place on the floor of your room where it will not be in the way. Place it on your desk or another hard surface. Leave the cards there for 2 days. 3. Check the cards. There will likely be dust from the air trapped in the jelly. Does one have more dust than the other? Place each card in a zip seal bag and save them. 4. Vacuum and dust your room and try the experiment again with the other 2 cards. What happens this time? Is there more dust on the 2 new cards than there is on the ones you used before cleaning? What does this tell you about the air after cleaning your room? Earth science, all science. Wow, there really is so much to learn about Earth. We have just gotten started. All kinds of scientists study different parts of our world. Some study the oceans. Some study the rocks. Some study the living things on Earth. Other scientists study the weather or the atmosphere. No matter what science study, they are all trying to find answers about Earth. What do you want to find out next?
Lin-Manuel Miranda, award-winning actor, rapper,